And how's it going, everybody?
Hey.
Or at least it should be. Let's see. Welcome to Tuesday Legacy. We've got 4 rounds and just under 20 players. And I'm pretty excited for today.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And this is actually my first time streaming at Paragon, but I play here at least twice a week, and I'm excited about being here.
Yeah. All right, so what have we got, Pat?
Okay, so
here's our table one.
So this looks like Davis Sturgeon against Brendan Baker. Davis is on Sneak and Show. He finally binned whatever it was.
Brandon.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what Brandon's on.
You're not sure what's Brandon's on. Huh?
He's on 4-color control.
See?
And this is
Corey knows.
Davis on Sneak and Show?
Yeah.
Davis is on a different deck, huh?
Yeah, all right. He finally kicked, what is it, Shardless?
Yeah. He was doing so well.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what he said. He was up selling stuff to us today, or buying the pieces. He's like, yeah, Shardless is supposed to be like a really bad deck, but I keep winning with it. So it's weird. And then on the other round, we've got Larry on Dead Gael and Caleb on Eldrazi. Oh, light balance on that one's a little weird.
Whoa.
There we go. First turn, Thoughtseize. Get that transfer out of there.
Not today. Okay.
Thank
there
you.
you go. Thank you, guys. We're back up too. Like everything's working now.
Awesome. So. All right, we're gonna start. We're gonna start with our table one though, and see what is going on.
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure if Brandon's just playing like true name control or if it's 4-color control, but it's definitely control, and you can see in his hand he's got a Leovold, Counterspell, a Caracas. No, it's not Caracas, that's just an island. I think he's...
Oh, Mr. Gator, you just get me. Thank you. All right, let's see if we can get this up.
First turn, suspended Ancestral Visions.
Wait a minute. This isn't Sneak and Show. He's just playing his normal deck.
Yeah, that looks like Shardless to me. I saw Shardless Agent in his hands. So he's definitely not playing Sneak and Show.
100%.
Unless it's a really strange version of Sneak and Show. You know, play Shardless Agent into...
play Ancestral Visions in your... Excellent.
All right, so... Looks like we are thinking here on what to do for turn 2. Looks he has a fetch land, so he could brainstorm and then fetch away. You know, if he doesn't think his hand is, if he wants to filter his hand a little bit. He's checking his sideboard on the first turn. You know, just making sure he's set. Second turn anyway.
Yeah, and he'll brainstorm.
See, I kind of like playing the fetch land first, so you can play around days, especially if you're playing against an Underground Sea. But
he may have a stacked enough hand that he wants to see something like a brainstorm dazed at this stage in the game.
Yeah, that could be. You know, especially drawing extra cards with Ancestral Visions.
Okay, so I did see how he set it up. He put a land on top of his deck, and he's not going to Shardless it. He's going to fetch. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm like, oh man, we're going to see the Ancestral get flipped on the Cascade. That'd be sweet.
Which I think is probably right, just because, I mean, I actually really like not fetching there yet, just so you can play around Wasteland. Mm-hmm. But you know, especially because he didn't do anything with his mana there. But you know, he didn't like those cards, and he already knows he's gonna be drawing a bunch of cards.
Yeah.
With his Ancestral Visions there. So.
And we've got him. Hey, welcome in, Jorgensen. Good to see you.
So we got a Force of Will on that Hymn to Torok. You got to choose which 2 cards you wanted to discard. That's what I always think of when
Force of Will is never great against these kind of mid-range strategies, right?
Right.
It's like, okay, I'll get rid of him because...
Very rarely does 2 cards trade up.
Mm-hmm. Very rarely.
Ancestral visions, maybe.
It's usually like in the key moments, right?
Yeah.
And I think that moment is just more key to keep the gas in your hand.
So my guess is that he's just playing the bug control here, and he's gonna go for a Leovold, I betcha. Maybe a Ponder first.
Here, we can probably change that. Let's do...
Leovold control, probably, or Sultai control.
Yeah, let's just Sultai. It's probably a good estimate. Whoa, it's too big. Fine, we'll change it. It's just Sultai for today.
I like that. Straightforward, you know? And
Brandon
actually,
on Alurin? Oh, he could be on Alurin.
I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe
Brandon?
not.
Usually you don't play Force of Will, but you can. It's definitely not a guaranteed thing. Or Counterspell. You know, you don't want a Shardless Agent into your Counterspell.
A misspelled bug? Oh, yeah, you're right. I guess I'll just keep it like that. I'm not very good with this whole technology thing, so I guess it's just gonna have to be that way. Oh, Bug Lurin does play forces? Oh yeah, that's right. It's the four color version that doesn't.
Yeah, if you're playing Recruiter of the Guard, it's kind of hard to always find a.
You know, I actually played against a Sultai Alurin on this last Friday, and I didn't even know that he was on Alurin until like much later. Oh, this 4-color. Is that a K command?
It's a K command, so he could 2 to the bird, destroy the artifact.
Yeah, he could do a straight up trade.
Make him discard, but I doubt he does that since he's gonna be drawing 3 here.
Nope, he is. He's targeting him. So I'm going to switch this to 4-color control. Because that is definitely what we're on at this point, right?
Yep.
There you go, Jorgensen. It doesn't say Sultai anymore. I did that just for you. Or for our whole audience.
Yeah.
All 5 of you.
So that's a really good Ancestral Visions there when you can't draw your extra cards with Leovold out in play.
Yeah, good timing on Brendan's part.
So I get why he actually destroyed the Baleful Strix, right, so he could attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then made him discard but the card is actually better.
So he hits Brainstorm. He's going to choose not to cast it, or at least that's what he should do. Yeah, this Leovold has already had 2 huge hits.
Yeah, that Leovold, man, that card is just broken unfair sometimes, I swear. Sometimes it's just a 3/3 that doesn't do much, but if they try and draw any cards, you are sitting pretty good there.
Either that or it just causes a bunch of rule violations.
So he drew a Lightning Bolt for the turn.
Yep,
now
and he'll Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt 1.
And he gets both of these.
I mean, at that point, I don't know if you block there, but or at least go for the double because you know he's not gonna trade for.
I mean, it's an act of desperation, right?
Sure.
Like you double block because you have to make him have it.
Sure.
All right, and we're gonna him away these last 2 cards. We're just gonna draw out a counterspell.
Losing 1 is better than losing 2.
Agreed. What card is he protecting?
Snapcaster.
Snapcaster? Definitely worth doing.
Yep, that can cast anything in his graveyard. I'm not sure what Davis has in his hand, but he's fetching now, so he's probably got Deathrite Shaman. That's exactly what he's got. You cannot cast a Deathrite Shaman off an island. I do know that.
No, sir. It's not the most beautiful Deathrite Shaman in the face of another. He's absolutely behind in this game.
Is that a foil Leovold too?
Yeah, it is.
That's pretty.
Yeah. They're like $400 plus. That's a lot for a creature.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about Brian's foil deck with its triple sleeve, and I saw you trying to like hold it up and see if you could like wrap your fingers around it.
I can't.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous, and yeah, he has 2 foil Leovolds in that deck.
But if I had 2 foil Leovolds in my deck, I might do the same thing.
I said I said I could justify it, but like it's just bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
At least he picked the right color. That's all I have to say. I'll just focus on the positive, right?
Yeah. There goes. He's got a true name, and he's got a Leovold left in hand. So.
All right. So what?
I think his only outs here are to Toxic Deluge on that turn. That's it.
All right, Gavin. Then how much is your car worth? Based on Brian's deck, I'm gonna say like. What, like 3,000, 2,000?
It depends on the car, my friend. Depends
Yeah.
on the car. You have a scooter, Vespa?
Oh man, I happen to know this guy lives up by me. If he came on a Vespa all the way out here once a week or twice a week, ugh. Well, more than 4. Jeez, do you actually own a Vespa? Is that what you own? Alright, to the boards.
So, looks like he's got Thoughtseize, and his, Brandon's bringing in some Thoughtseize here, and Golgari Charm's coming in for Davis.
So, usually when I see these like mid-range and control matchups, I always feel like cutting the hand hate cards and just playing more threats.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? Because that's interesting to see that he would want to bring in a card like Thoughtseize.
Yeah, so that's interesting, especially against this deck, because card advantage in a mid-range matchup is the name of the game, right? So usually forces come out against this kind of matchup.
Yes.
But especially when he can cascade trigger and still get value out of it if you were to force like something like a Charlotte's Agent. Mm-hmm. But if you strip it out of the hand before he actually casts it, then you're sort of
it removes the
going
potential
ahead
value.
There.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely makes sense.
I don't necessarily like having the Thoughtseize in. I think it's better than Force. So it just kind of depends on what your plan is here. Charlotte's isn't really going to play Haymaker.
No.
So
no, they're gonna go wide, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have multiple creatures on the board, and that's how they're gonna win with damage. I have played against both of these decks enough times, and I board out all of my hand hate. I even board out my hymns. I just want everything to be a threat or everything to be removal. That's like how I want my whole deck to be.
Well, it kind of depends on what you're playing with, and if you're playing like the Sultai control deck, or this 4-color control deck against the Charlotte's deck, which I have done before, I usually side out all of my Thoughtseizes as well, just because you don't really want to get in that position where you're top decking.
Yeah.
Their top deck way better than you, and if you top deck a Thoughtseize, you're just
isn't that kind of the name of the game though? Like, or that's how it's been for me at least.
Sure.
It's you're gonna end up in a top deck war at some point,
sure.
or at least in a board state where each player has 2 or less cards in hand.
Sure. See, and I don't mind leaving in a couple of Thoughtseize, especially if you're bringing out so many cards, right? Because it looks like he's bringing out his Jaces, and it looks like he's bringing out Force of Will. And so that's quite a few cards that are coming out.
It really is.
So he's got to decide, maybe a lesser of the evil kind of thing.
Yeah, it looks like he has a lot of things that he wants to board in. That's saying a lot.
And it also makes sense with what he's kind of doing is he's really doubling down on being a 4-color control deck, right? Because if you can Thoughtseize and know which threats that you need to counter with the Pyroblast that he brought in, that's valuable information to see his hand too.
Yeah. All right, so we'll finish up shuffling and we'll go into game 2. Let me update this.
Really, I think Brandon's plan is to play Leovold and win the game again.
It looks like a good plan.
Had he not had Leovold that game, I'm pretty sure Davis with this card advantage would take him over.
He would have seen 6 more cards,
Mm-hmm.
and 4 of those cards would have stayed in his hand. That's a lot.
Yeah, and not to mention Leovold, hit him a couple times. He, I think, did 9 damage to him. So
3 hits.
in Commander speak, he was almost dead.
Half dead. A little less.
Yeah,
But we don't worry about that format.
that's true. That's true.
This is a legacy only stream.
It has been a while since I've played my Commander.
It's been a while for me too. I still own one. I just leave it at home whenever I come here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think my last Commander deck was Joyra, and I, suspend
Yep.
really large things
Yep.
and then win the game.
Usually plays
And that was pretty
out pretty
fun.
similarly.
Kind of
Each
felt like a
game.
legacy deck.
Yeah.
Then I thought, well, I should just play Legacy.
Okay, so
Is that a Black Sun Zenith? I think it is. With like some marker on it. So he might be wishing it was like a Toxic Deluge or something. But he's definitely got a turn 1 Deathrite, Abrupt Decay, and a Baleful Strix. So
yeah, it's got
that's
multiple
a
lands as well.
definite keeper there. And it looks like Davis is going down to 6. It's not always something you want to do against a control deck, but looks like Toxic Deluge in his hand.
Basic Swamp. Is that his only land?
Could be. I thought I saw a Force of Will though there. Is that what he has on the far side?
I'm not sure.
Definitely Toxic Deluge and a Thoughtseize. It is a Black Sun Zenith.
It is. All right, so it has to be the Deathrite Shaman, right?
I think 100% it's the Deathrite Shaman, unless you have a way to remove it in your hand for the next turn. Because you're not. If it is that, then you take the Baleful Strix, because the Baleful Strix can be card advantage.
Who's the new guy? This is Corey. Bryce is still out and about, so we had Corey step in for him today. Usually he's playing.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
And we've covered him a number of times. But he wanted to be in the booth today, so.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
He likes talking about Magic just as much as the next person, so not too crazy.
Sorry, I have to stare at my ugly mug. The whole game.
I tell them that all the time.
All day.
They keep tuning in, so I don't know.
Abrupt Decay, Fatal Push. See, that surprises me actually, because he's got Fatal Push in hand. So I think the play there was to take the Strix, and then you can Fatal Push and Brainstorm the next turn.
Yeah. You hope you can read your cards? I think he'll try. I think he'll try to read your cards.
Definitely land, because he left it on top. There we go.
Ooh, that glare.
Yeah. But unfortunately, he's got to fetch before he Brainstorms, because he doesn't have blue mana.
Yeah.
And then to get blue mana, he has to get an Underground Sea or something.
Right.
Or a Trop.
Neither player's hand looks just great. The Brainstorm's probably going to put Davis slightly ahead, but we'll see what this Baleful Strix finds him. What is the top card in Davis's hand? Did you see it?
Yeah, so he's got an Abrupt Decay, Toxic Deluge,
It's a Toxic
and a Brainstorm.
Okay.
Yep. Toxic Deluge is definitely less good when your opponents know about it.
Yeah. You might actually just be killing this Baleful Strix with it.
He may have just shown Brandon that extra card there, but that's a very good Brainstorm for him. That gets him a fetch land to fetch away what he doesn't want, probably the Deluge.
Yeah.
Now they're just confirming with each other because they didn't write it down.
These are the ones you knew. You knew about the Abrupt Decay.
Good old Tuesday Night Legacy, where you get to play with your hand on top of the table. I actually really like just showing it that way,
Yeah, I agree. I'll usually do it.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not playing Brainstorm. Well, once you play Brainstorm, it really does mess
Pick it
with
up.
it, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like just playing it this way, like on a Tuesday night. If you're at a GP or something, there could be something to be said about, making your opponent remember.
Mm-hmm. So I think we'll just see this Abrupt Decade. It depends. Oh, no, he's fetching. Oh, do you think he has like a key command?
Well, he has to Abrupt Decay it. He has to get a green to Abrupt Decay it.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And that's definitely the plan, huh?
Yeah, I don't think you can allow the shaman to just kind of eat at your graveyard.
Never keep hand face up if you have a Rancor. Make them remember. That way, when I cast the Rancor, they're like, "Oh man, I forgot I was about to just get destroyed."
Rancor.
I'm pretty sure all of my opponents last Friday felt like that. They were like, "Geez, that Rancor." Can't
Well,
beat
hey,
it.
if I was getting trampled on by Rancor too, I'd say more than G's.
All right, so Deathrite Shaman down.
Deathrite Shaman down, and Ponder looks like he didn't like his card, so he got a little shuffle on it. Snapcaster was the draw.
I like that draw. So he has another land in hand. It could be a Ponder. He could if another threat comes down, he gets to decay it.
I think he's got a Brainstorm in his hand, so it could be that. I really like Brandon's position here. I think he's extremely favored at this point in the game. But
has all the necessary things.
There are plenty things that could happen to push it the other way.
This isn't Shardless? Pretty sure this is Shardless.
It's definitely Shardless.
This is Guided Passage? I wouldn't even call it that. All right.
So
I guess he does have red. Oh, this is the? Yeah, I guess he is playing like the add red for the Bloodbraid, huh? This is the Waterfall deck. The Cascade deck.
So he draws a Thoughtseize, but he decides to Snapcaster Thoughtseize. I think he can't cast Liliana, so I don't know.
Still the most important thing on the board.
That's true.
Or in his hand. The Abrupt Decay looks pretty lackluster.
Truth.
And there's Shardless. All right. Okay.
It's always nice to play one card and get three.
Oh, that's a Diabolic Edict.
It is, sure is. Which is kind of
strange.
I think he's bringing it in because he knows that Davis plays the True Name Nemesis, right? But it seems so bad on the board right now.
Yeah. Is that okay, it's a Strix and 2 lands off the Brainstorm.
Yeah, I think he put 1 land back and the Diabolic Edict. But
yeah, I don't like the Diabolic Edict at all. The Black Sun looks pretty good.
Yeah. Yep. And I think you
Not
just
this turn, but
I think you just wait one more turn, yeah.
Mm.
Or even just block the Shardless Agent and then let Davis kind of play into it. Even though Davis knows about the Black Sun Zenith from the Thoughtseize in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, he does.
I think, having 2 cards protection against, True Name Nemesis is nice, but K-Con from Brandon would turn Edict back on here. K-Command? Yeah.
Yeah, K-Command.
That's true, but Black Sun just kills everything.
And if he wanted to start getting in with the Snapcaster, he could try to take care of the board that way.
Sure.
But I think he'd rather just Black Sun.
I'm pretty sure he put the Edict back on top Because he's got Black Sun and Strix in hand.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you actually play the Strix. If your plan is to Black Sun.
Yeah, he has a Black Sun Zenith in hand. Black Sun and a Strix. He decides that he doesn't care about the Strix. The longer he can put off playing the Black Sun,
Sure.
the more he's advantaged, right? Turning the corner right now isn't exactly something.
Ooh,
he's
and it looks
doing.
like he just drew a Leovold too.
Versiopatra, Death Touch Snakes, in Legacy. Oh goodness.
That would be pretty sweet.
HC Fox, have you have you been playing Standard or something? Have you been looking at Standard cards?
Brennan said, "Oops, this is my draft deck. I got a Nest of Scarabs and a Hepatra in my Legacy deck. Cast it off Underground Sea."
Oh, that'd be awesome. All right, Leovold.
Okay, that's a good one. But he does know he's got the Abrupt Decay, so
Yeah, we'll take care of that, and
sure
we'll draw
he gets
a
the
card.
trigger. He drew a blue card, maybe a Snapcaster.
Draws his card, passes.
Davis is a little choked on the lands, and here's the part in Legacy where you go Drago, Drago, Drago.
Library of Trust down. No.
And I like Brandon's keep of that land, actually, since he has 5 in play. He can, if he draws a Brainstorm, he can
You chuck it.
chuck it. Card advantage the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, it's not often we see a matchup where no player has Wastelands in their deck.
Yeah.
This is one of them.
Yep. And would Wasteland be good? I think so. 4 is it Jace, Bloodbraid? Wow. Oh, he's playing 4-color Cascade.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. He's had the
Oh,
Vol-
yeah,
the
because he
Volk.
had the
Mhm.
Kolaghan's command.
Yeah. All right, it's gonna be Thoughtseize. Yeah, I'm really confused about these Thoughtseizes.
Toxic Deluge and Black Sun.
To be honest, guys, I didn't even know it was a Legacy stream until I saw HC Fox jump in. Like I thought we were playing Standard there for a minute. So thank you, HC Fox. Appreciate it.
So this puts a lot of pressure on Brandon to have a 3/2 that's just hitting him to cast one of his big spells here.
Is that a Deluge and a Black Sun in hand?
Yeah, I think you cast the Black Sun here
think
just
so
for
too.
mana
Nope, he's gonna Deluge for 2. Down to 7 with you.
efficiency.
Waterfalls. Yes, we have waterfalls. Here. I'll even change it for you guys, since...
Waterfalls. Isn't that a Weird Al song?
I'm not sure. All right, Shardless, we're cascading. Who doesn't like cascading? All right. He hits an Abrupt Decay. No bueno. But hey, 3 mana 2/2, right? Yeah, I knew it was the deck name. We saw red not till like game 2, and I just didn't change it. Brandon won game 1 pretty handily.
I can't say that I've never tried. Oh, he's gonna Black Sun there. That doesn't seem like something I'd want to do.
He is at 7.
Yeah,
He doesn't really want to take 2. If he does it once
he could
and doesn't draw something, he's gonna feel bad that he didn't kill it, right?
Sure, but I'd much rather like fetch right there and Fatal Push, just because it doesn't seem good either, really. But
No.
Saving the Black Sun that could maybe mop up a Charlotte's Agent into Baleful Strix into something else, right?
Yeah, a lot of people don't care to randomize the cascades. People play with enough fetch lands in this format that they won't even present it. Which, as long as both players are okay with it, shouldn't matter. Every time I Bloodbraid Elf and cascade past a couple things, and I'll like present the cards to to be randomized or whatever. Every time the person looks at me like, what, why? Like, just put them.
Really, you're gonna make me shuffle 3 cards? Come on. And
I'm
you're
like, you.
I mean, that's a,
I'm supposed to do that. I'm technically supposed to do that.
yeah. But hey, that was a really good brainstorm for Brandon there. He got to shuffle away 2 lands that he was holding for a while.
Yeah.
And that's a very bad ponder.
Awful.
2 lands and a lightning bolt. Maybe if Davis was a little bit lower life, but not the case. So it looks like he's got a red blast, a lightning bolt, and a fatal push. So more ways to kill threats that Davis presents, but no way to actually win the game yet.
If Davis can continue to draw cascade spells, this hand doesn't look particularly great against them. They're running out of cards to shuffle.
There's
Oh no!
a Visions.
See, even if Visions looks good here, this game is not ending in the next 3 turns.
Sure.
Or sorry, 4 turns.
Looks like a land, Golgari Charm, back on top. Deathrite
Deathrite.
Shaman, and a Visions he's going to suspend here.
So this Deathrite is definitely going to get pushed, right?
I think it has to.
Because
Yeah.
a 3-turn clock, even just getting 1 turn closer, is not something that Brandon wants to happen.
Yep.
Yeah, the glare is
There it
pretty
goes.
bad. On the bright side, all the lands just tap for mana. No cool abilities or anything.
Yeah, maybe we can see if we can fix that after
Yeah,
this match.
Brian's talked about like fixing the lighting around there, but he just hasn't gotten to it yet.
Alright, we
Fill
got
out
a
that
shuffle.
deck.
You got to get rid of those 2 cards, that Golgari Charm, that extra land on top too, so that's good.
Alright. To 3 counters
All the triggers.
and draw.
That's the thing about playing Ancestral Visions for me, is I gotta remember that it's out there and I need to take a counter off. Otherwise, 5 turns for 3 cards is kind of...
Glaring Spotlight. Yep, that's the card we're having an issue with. Creatures your opponents control with hexproof can't be the targets of spells and abilities. See, those lands they can't even be targets. Look at that.
I remember when that
Or
card
they
came
can't be.
out, and I spec'd on it, because Geist of St. Traft was like all over the place,
Yeah.
and I was like, Glaring Spotlight, yes, that
We're
card,
gonna kill stuff.
lose Hexproof, Nibble Mongoose, or I guess Limb Mongoose Shroud.
Didn't it get rid of both? Did it not? Oh, it is just hexproof.
And then to give all your stuff Hexproof too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. The glare does hide just how beautiful their lands are.
So we got a discard and draw a Snapcaster. That card is real good.
Yeah, the man with the plan. Mongoose is good. I've seen that win so many games. All right, turn 1. We've already got a card that you can't deal with.
Good old 1/1.
The clock starts now. Tick tock, tick tock.
The best is when you play, some sort of graveyard hit against Nimble Mongoose and just shrink it mid combat. It's one of my favorite things to do.
All right, got a K command, and this is going to return a creature, and I think he's going to discard or probably. Oh, returning Leovold.
That drawing Leovold seems like a good plan.
He's going to have him sacrifice the. Yeah, both players brought in Diabolic Edict.
Yeah.
There's
There's always that looming sense that oh, he had to tap his mana for the K command. There's always that looming sense that the first person to play True Name Nemesis and not go answered is probably the winner of the game.
Yeah. A man with a plan. Have you been there while I did that or something? Because I did that once. I play Jund, and I literally have 1 card in my entire 75 that draws me cards. And I had an opponent with a Leovold, and I just wasn't thinking, just like drew cards, had to call the judge on it, and it didn't wind up being like a huge deal, but yeah, definitely don't draw your cards off the Sylvan Library.
Yep.
There's a Leovold to play.
That is a trigger that you can not choose not to use.
No. It's a static ability. And then you have to pay life to keep the first card you draw. Yup.
Yeah, that's gross.
It's pretty bad.
Although I still think my favorite thing to do is to play Notion Thief and then Dak Vaden.
Yeah, that is fun. We actually saw one of those decks on I think last Tuesday. They never got the Dak Vaden into play though, and I think the only time we saw Notion Thief, they pitched it to Force of Will.
That was me.
That was you.
That was
okay,
me.
yeah, you were playing it. Yeah, and we never saw it. It was so depressing. We wanted to see it just like wreck people, and it never did.
I would love to play Vintage, but I don't. When I say I would love to, I'm not really sure if I would love it. I'm not sure. It looks pretty crazy.
I would love the opportunity to play Vintage, but I'm not actually sure that I would want to continue playing. Just want to like mess with it for a minute. All right, we got a Lightning Bolt.
We got a response to the Lightning Bolt, huh?
Golgari Charm. It's gonna save it. Regenerate. He could activate it in response as well.
Well, he just played it last turn.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Paragon Vintage Proxy Tournament. Mr. Gator, that sounds like a terrible idea. It sounds like you've been like conspiring with Brian.
Or Travis.
Yeah, don't do that.
I think Travis has been trying to get me to play Vintage for like 5 years. Because he seems to think that everyone can afford to build Vintage decks.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a thing.
Let me get right on that.
Yeah, if you ever run into Travis at a GP, he'll be happy to show you a whole bunch of cards that are way out of your pay grade. Yeah, that's always, if he'll
spot you, sure.
Spot me, I'm in.
There's Vintage tournaments at like every GP.
Yeah,
or at least one, right?
And it's actually super fun to go watch. I was watching this guy play, and obviously they have online streaming, so there's that too. But it's a little bit different when it's in real life, and you see these gushes that are drawing 2 cards and making Monastery Mentor tokens, and you're like, man, that just doesn't seem fair.
So this is interesting. I believe Leovold does read that if you or a permanent control gets targeted, correct?
It is.
So did he miss the trigger on the Diabolic Edict then? I didn't see him draw a card.
I didn't see him draw a card, no.
He looked like he was going to, and then he I think he did miss that trigger.
So this is awkward, right? Because Davis didn't activate his Deathrite Shaman on his turn, but he's only at 2. And if he goes to activate it, obviously, this is the game of chicken, right?
Well, there's enough creatures. Okay. Yeah, because he gets to just activate and bait him out at the end of turn, and then he just gets the win. Well, yeah, and if he targets a creature, then he can negate and hit the same creature.
Yep.
And then the next turn,
and
just
then
kill
him gain 2, and then just
Right.
kill him. Yep. Yeah, so it's one of those things where if you don't do it on your turn when they play their Deathrite Shaman, it's usually better to just activate it there because you're already going to get negated on it. So
It'd be like activating Gristle at 5 life. Yeah,
it's a good old May.
Yeah, it is a May ability for sure. All right, so let's take a look at what's going on in our other. Oh, and our other table is already cleared up and done.
Which seems about right. I think it was Caleb playing Eldrazi against Dead Guy Ale, And Eldrazi's pretty good at
Not caring.
not caring about Dead Guy Ale. Although Batterskull's a card that's really strong against them, so.
Yeah, so when there is a Leovold on the board and the opponent has a Sylvan Library, they can just choose not to activate the Sylvan Library. I've had it happen before. You just don't activate it. It's just a 2-mana enchantment that does nothing.
Yep. Okay, so the question is, I would rule that you can't satisfy the if you do portion of the trigger. So if you say yes, you don't draw 2 cards, and you have already drawn a card for turn. And Sylvan Library says pay 4 life to keeps.
So you're only keeping 1 card. I'm pretty sure you have to pay the 4 though.
Yep.
But you're not keeping anything else. I think you just pay 4 life.
So that's interesting because I think.
Oh, if you're at. They're saying if you're at below 4.
Yeah. So you can't activate. Oh, that's interesting. You wouldn't be able to activate that trigger.
You wouldn't.
Because you can't pay life that you don't have.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I don't think at that point you can keep it. I'm pretty sure it'd rule that you'd have to put it back on top of your library.
Because the card says that you have an option to pay the life, but if you don't have the life, you can't pay it. So you don't get a choice there. You have to put it back. But yeah, so if you have a Sylvan Library and there's a Leovold out, and you decide to take the 3 cards, not thinking.
Like me.
you go to draw, and if you say like activate Sylvan Library, and you go to take your cards, you don't get the other 2, and then you have to put it back and you pay the life.
Yeah. Sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're looking at their boards, and I just don't ever think that I would board out a Ponder or a Brainstorm for that matter.
Sure. Well, and you saw that made the game go really long, right? Because it was less consistent. They couldn't always find their threats, and sometimes they just had lands.
Mm-hmm. And multiple Thought Seizes were drawn by both people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think those spells ever mattered, did they? Not too much.
Too much.
I'm not saying that they did nothing, but...
And actually, if anything, they helped the other opponent, right? Because they took 2 life to do it.
Right. Yeah, because technically the Sylvan Library says that you have to put cards back because you're initially drawing them. So you're putting 1 card back, so you pay 4 life if you were to keep it. So yep, you just put the 1 card back. It's like you literally just draw a card or pay 4 life to do absolutely nothing.
Yep. And it is one of those things if you say yes to the trigger. So if you're in real time and you're playing it in a tournament and you just draw your first card and you didn't say activate Sylvan Library, you essentially just drew your card for the turn. Mm-hmm. But if you are on Magic Online or something and would you like to resolve the Sylvan Library trigger and you say yes, then you got a problem.
That sounds terrible. So yeah, exactly. See, in my Jund deck, I'd probably just like abrupt decay it just so that I can at least add for Delirium and Tarmogoyf.
Yeah,
it'd be better. It'd be better at that point. I guess I'd just kill the Leovold at that point. But
yeah,
I'm just saying that's how bad it is.
Sure. Right.
Yeah, with Leovold, definitely a no.
You just don't get to, and if you do, you get a judge call.
When I did it, I did have a judge call, but when I did it, I like picked up the 3 cards and I saw them, and then my opponent caught me and I just like put them down. I just like dropped them. They never actually like touched my hand or anything, and the judge elected to shuffle them into my deck and not do the trigger. Yep. But my opponent was super cool about it because you know, he was. We were both trying to be on the same page. But
Sure. He's probably feeling cool about it because he had a Leovold against your Sylvan Library, so he felt like he was in a good spot.
Yeah. You've activated my trump card. Yeah, it was like really awkward too because I'm like, oh, that's so weird. I've played this matchup a bunch of times and I've never had to worry about Leovold. It always just seems like, all right, you're gonna draw a card when I abrupt decay your guy or lightning bolt your guy or whatever.
Yeah, you got a 2-for-1, but that's about it. And when they get you, because you don't really draw too many extra cards in Jund.
Never.
Sylvan Library is about it.
Whether you're running Dark Confidant or like Dark Confidant feels like a draw, but it's not technically drawing a card.
Yeah.
So even when you're running Dark Confidants,
Yeah.
it still doesn't work that way. Because we have somebody sitting down at our other table. The
And
question
I think
is,
that's a new opponent for Brandon there.
I think so. So what we'll probably do is take a look at this other table since we just saw Brandon play. I think it's probably good to watch some other people play this round. Or we can jump back and forth at least. Yeah, let's transition.
Yeah, let's take a look at what's going on the other table here, and then maybe we'll come back.
All right.
Earthworm Jim.
I know this is Ian.
Yep. So he's got that company deck that I was hearing rumblings of earlier.
He said Bant, right?
Bant, yeah. So I don't know that he's necessarily playing that. I know he asked me to borrow a Leovold. So
it could be like a 4-color.
I'm not sure what he's playing.
You know what? And
But
I think this is Matthew. I think I'm finally starting to get to know people, guys.
If you cast company and put a Leovold into play, I feel like you're doing pretty good.
So Matthew, I know that he has access to Sultai Lurin and
Death and Taxes, right?
yes, and Death and Taxes.
Good to see you too.
This is Bryce.
Oh, hey,
Look, we found your fill-in, Bryce.
coming for your job, Bryce.
All right, we'll find out what Matthew's on pretty soon.
Oh yeah, Leo instant speed in response to brainstorm seems good.
Oh, that is gross. That's so gross.
Seems real good.
Oh, can we see that one time, please? Okay, I see blue cards. I'm betting that he's on the deck that he.
Yeah.
This is a Sultai Lurin.
Okay. I saw a force, and I saw a.
Lurin? Is that how you spell it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Spelling, not one of my strong suits.
You know, so I actually worked with Ian a 4-color or 5-color company deck for Modern, and so he must have got the bug and just thought, you know what, I'm doing it in Legacy too.
Yeah, that is definitely like two decks that are weird to have, huh? It's like, oh, he has a Lurin. What do you think his other deck is?
Yeah.
Yep, Death and Taxes. I knew it. What else could it have been?
Well, he's got Recruiter of the Guard, so naturally, goes in both decks, right? That's the reason why.
Yes, Bryce, I'm sorry. It wasn't my call, all right? It was going to be Patrick, but Patrick's on the clock, and Corey was like, hey, I could step in, and sorry. I don't know if you've lost your job or if this is a temporary thing, but because I'm streaming right now, I'm just going to go ahead and say you've lost your job.
That's a Birds of Paradise.
Bryce is the OG caster. I agree with you. All right. We're up and running.
All right, here comes Leovold. And here comes a force, I'm guessing.
I would force this.
Yeah, I think he would always force that.
He didn't even hesitate. He was like, oh, I know what's happening.
Especially with the card like Baleful Strix that doesn't do anything when they cast if you have the Leovold out.
Right.
But it got forced back. So now Ian's almost hellbent. Draws a land. He can he can cast that Jitte and equip it, and that's pretty backbreaking against any Alluran deck.
Play Sylvan Library in response. You just want to see it happen, don't you?
Flash Harpies.
Oh, please don't. Please don't, Fox. Whatever concoction you've just come up with in your mind, I need you to let that one go. You want to watch the world burn? Yeah, but he'd like play Sylvan Library and then he just wouldn't use it, and you'd be like, wow, that was anticlimactic.
So I think the Alluran player, even though Ian went down to 5 cards, I think he's in trouble here. I think Matthew's in trouble here.
All right, he does not draw the card. He's just
Gonna look at the top 3 and not draw. He's gonna scry 3, but only can leave them on top or shuffle.
oh, that is so weird.
Yeah.
I think he shuffled this too.
Yeah.
He's just gonna shuffle and just like not know what's on the top.
And he really can't
wow.
play Alluran against a deck, you know, where he doesn't have any of the creatures to cast, and he's playing against a Deathrite Shaman and a Leovold where he can cast his creatures for free too. So.
Yeah, I don't think Eric's here tonight, Gavin.
But he left it on top. Was it a land? That's a land. There's no thought here. You just cast a Jitte, equip it, and, well, I don't know if you get in there.
He doesn't need to.
Yeah, especially with, you can't do that. But I think you do equip it for the next turn so that you have your mana free.
Wow, so this is really bad for Matthew. He's just sitting on the 2 cards he has in board and a land and oh no. He has a Sylvan Library. I'm not sure what the other card was.
So I kind of like equipping that Jitte there to Deathrite Shaman even. And then the next turn you can get in with Deathrite Shaman, and then you can literally just keep his board clear.
Mm-hmm. You tried Vials and Tianan and Leo. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the best. I mean, there are probably like dream situations where you're like, oh man, got there, did it. Never didn't have it, but yeah, it doesn't seem like the best.
Well, Ian drew a Birds of Paradise for the turn, which can carry a Jit if there's counters on it already. Come on, Ian.
Fox, that's something that I've never even imagined, and that'd be amazing. That'd be the coolest thing to see.
That would be pretty sweet. Not gonna lie.
So I'm wondering if Matthew is just sitting here across the board thinking, maybe I should have brought D&T today.
Well, Ian did go for that play on the next turn, so that's good.
Yeah, this is a good block. I mean, the Deathrite was just going to die to the Jitte anyway.
Yeah.
May as well get a trade out of it. Okay, so we see Alluran, but Alluran doesn't look good. I actually think Alluran's going to help. It's going to help Ian in this spot more, I would assume.
Yeah, unless Matthew can, if he can get some sort of creature that can give him an advantage, which isn't a Baleful Strix or something that, he has to draw cards for. But something like Recruiter of the Guard, which doesn't look like he's necessarily playing because I don't see any white yet, but something like that where he can essentially draw cards without drawing them.
Suit up the bird, attack in.
And there's reason to think that he's leaving the mana untapped in case he wants to cast something instant speed or represent something, but there's nothing really represented by a Bayou.
No.
And especially there, he's, giving up the jig.
All right, coming Yeah, we're just gonna block. That's more value than he expected. I'm kind of surprised he didn't just use the Jute to clear the way.
And he should have.
I think so.
In case he draws like an Abrupt Decay or something like that, right?
You know, this is a similar spot to where I was looking at the Siltylerin deck, because we haven't really seen anything from Matthew that says, hey, I'm playing Alurin.
Yeah.
We haven't. I mean, the Birds of Paradise is a little odd, but even then, is it really that weird?
Control, maybe he doesn't have Hierarchs or something, and he wants to play something like Reduce List. Yeah.
Exactly.
And it can cast black spells, right?
Yeah. I mean, there is a chance that Ian just knows that Matthew's on Siltylerin, but...
Sure. Yeah. Oh, man, I love that sideboard, though. He just... Aven Censor, 2 Tide Hollow Scullers, 2 Meddling Mage, a couple of Thalias, just a little bit of everything, just in case. Just hit it off company.
Yeah. All right, let's take a second. Let's transition into this other game.
All right, Drew. We've got Drew. Actually, he's playing Affinity tonight.
This is Drew?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so Legacy Affinity is an interesting deck, that's for sure.
You don't see it a lot.
No.
But it's definitely the deck exists.
Yeah. Well, Arcbound Ravager is a pretty messed up card. And you get to play artifact lands, not just the indestructible kind, but colored versions.
More modern? Yeah, Ian's mat is awesome. Every time we see it, we have people jumping in the chat saying like, "Oh, that's sweet."
Man, I remember playing Earthworm Jim.
It's been a long time.
I had to load it from a DOS prompt.
What is that? No. Unfunnity. They don't get. So who's the one who doesn't get fun? Affinity.
Yeah. Affinity. I like that. You can play like Disciple of the Vault in Legacy Affinity. That card's pretty sweet.
He plays it in Modern because he's heartless. Is that the only deck that somebody who's heartless is allowed to play?
No.
I want to know what the other decks you're allowed to build.
Heartless summoning decks. Right?
No, because they don't have a heart. They don't even get to summon the heart.
Yeah, that's true.
Or are you summoning heartless things to your aid? I don't know how to read into that.
Well, so like, could you play like Golem's Heart?
No, that's a heart.
So you can't be heartless, or I don't know. Yeah, that's a good
heartless. That's a good. Just Affinity. That's it. There's no other options. Well, I'm glad I have a heart then, because it'd be pretty awful to just play that. Hey Zektown, thanks for the follow. Oh yeah, hey.
Hey Zektown.
We can change that. So who do we see win there?
So I'm not sure. I think it was Brandon with the life totals. It looks like 15 and 5, and he did have a Leovold, and a Snapcaster came in. So I'm guessing that he just got in for 5 unsuspectingly.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Since we're between games there, let's shift back to our main feature match.
Okay.
And we know that Ian got game 1, so let me update that.
Round 2 too.
Yeah.
All right. So I see an Eternal Witness, a Ponder, Belfast Strix on Matt's side, Pluto Delta, some other cards. And Ian shipping his. Yeah, I don't think you can name your deck AF. That you might get a judge call or something. I'm not really sure.
Could be anything. Pop-up animations. Yes, Bryce. Sean got follows and subscriber animations for our stream. He got it all set up. So we have a little zombie for when people follow, and I have not seen what happens when we get a subscriber.
You know, I think
hint, hint,
I
wink,
really
wink.
want to see what happens when we get a subscriber.
That would be awesome. I don't even know. That'd be great to see. Sean set it up, I think, after our stream on Friday. So Brian and I streamed our Legacy Classic on Saturday, and we had them. They're awesome.
Yeah, that was a good stream. I enjoyed it. I sat home. I wish I could have played in it.
Jorgensen's
but
following.
I couldn't. That's a turn 1 Carpet of Flowers, isn't it?
Yes, that is carpet.
Carpet of Flowers. That tells you that Matt is not really sure what Ian's playing, but neither are we. So makes sense.
Does it only show up on one?
So shout out to R. Jorgensen. Thanks for the follow.
Yeah.
He is the top tier though, so
Yes.
that's good.
Yeah, Jorgensen's always here and always helpful. Whenever Bryce and I like try to think of a card, because we can never think of a card name.
Sure.
He's on top of it. We need people like him in our lives. You'll subscribe for a free gift. I don't think that's how gifts are. I think gifts are just always free because it's a gift. I don't think I've ever paid for a gift before. Have you?
No.
I don't think
No.
so. No. I've exchanged gifts. I don't think that's called paying.
I think I've paid for a gifts ungiven.
I've paid for a gift I'm giving. But that was the gift that I didn't receive because it was
true.
ungiven.
That's true. It was like a negative gift, like a gift that got taken away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to pay for that.
Uh-oh, there's an island. Let's see, he gave him an island. See what he decides to make.
Ian, play a Leopold. Nope, he already got a draw. He got a draw off the Belfast.
He did.
It's too late. Leopold's
There is
dead.
there is a company in his hand, in Ian's hand.
I think he has a Leopold in his hand. Oh no, he's gonna Charlotte.
See, company and Shardless in the same deck.
Yeah, that's what we heard. We heard about this deck before the tournament started, and all we heard is that he's playing company, and that he has Shardless Agent in it. We were a little confused, but it is what it is, right?
We weren't sure, but you know, hey, it is what it is.
So far, so good, right?
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything bad happen.
He just cast a Shardless Agent, and it hit a Deathray Shaman. Valley Town City.
Did MTG Goldfish do a deck tech on this? I haven't seen anything. Was it like super recent, Mr. Gator? Of course, our internet's like super slow.
So there was a Force of Will on Toxic Deluge.
A few weeks back.
Although, I'm not really sure I like that. I think you just give up your guys, because it's just 2 guys. Let them Toxic Deluge you.
Yeah.
And then company the next turn. Play Leovold.
Yeah, if you find it, Mr. Gator, send me a link.
So Ian's kind of in an interesting place, though, because he couldn't necessarily cast either of his cards without that Force of Will, because I think he fetched for Savannah, and so he doesn't have black mana to cast a Leovold, and he would have had to draw another mana to cast the company.
Yeah.
So
Here, let's pull up Carpet of Flowers. Not a card we see every day.
So that's a good one. It reads.
Here, let's pull it up.
Pull it up. But it. Okay.
Not by URL. Is it this one? That's not the one. Oh, this is table 2, huh?
Yeah, take that off and put it on this one. That's that one.
No, I think this is by URL. Here. I just have to... I'm just going to do this... Oh, maybe it's going to be super picky. Can I do it by URL? Let's try it that way.
There's a Leovold. So he elects for Leovold instead of the company, which I think is probably a pretty good idea because Matthew's deck really is about drawing extra cards. If you can shut him off of that.
Does that work? Oh, so close.
Fetch down. See what Matthew's going to come up with here. Wonder what he's got in his hand. We know that Ian has a company in his hand, and he can't cast it this turn. So let's see what Matthew's got for him right here.
We've got. There we go.
We've got a little bit of everything here, but we've got.
Ha! I got it to work.
Look at that. Kyra's a genius.
Yeah, I figured things out. Alright, so during your main phase, you may add up to X mana of one color to your mana pool, where X is the number of islands target opponent controls.
Yep. So
it's good against blue.
Matt went ahead and played a Eternal Witness to get back his Toxic Deluge and to wipe Ian's board with it. But Ian does have company, so unbeknownst to Matthew, because I'm sure that he has not seen the company yet.
He has not. We didn't see it last game. He just like tore him up with a couple creatures and it was over.
Yep. But that was an Allurin draw from Matthew. So in response to the Baleful Strix trigger, Casey hits a Leovold.
How many Leovold do you think this deck runs?
Man, like just play all 4 at that point, right?
Most people only they won't play more than 2 Leovold in a deck, but this one,
I mean, if you can hit it at instant speed, I mean, you don't care about the first one. You just go for it.
There might be more.
I wish you could see Matthew's face right now when he just saw a collected company. He was like, oh, yeah.
Sure.
Do I have 2 blue cards and is one of them named Force of Will? Nope. Okay. Yep. Do your thing. And then watch it be like 2 Charlotte's Agents.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably 3. I think 3 is a good number. Don't let your dreams be dreams.
All right.
Oh,
well,
he hits Spell Queller.
He hits Spell Queller. But Matthew's going to be able to Abrupt Decay it and then draw his card.
Excellent.
But let's put... Oh, he drew a Leovold for turn. So Matthew's hand is going to be pretty hard to beat here. I don't know. It looks like maybe 2 Allurins and a Leovold. So maybe not that good. But if he draws a... Depends on what he draws here. So that's a Swords for the turn for Ian.
Don't let your dreams be a modern deck. I know, right? We've got this legacy player, and he's like, no, I think I'll play modern this week. I'll have a couple legacy cards in there. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Why not?
Oh.
So Matthew he played his Leovold for mana instead of casting the Allurin, which makes sense. Because he doesn't really have anything to do with Allurin right now.
No, he can cast all of his creatures, and there's nothing comboing off, right?
Alright, so Ian goes after his life total to see if he can get there that way. And it looks like a noble hierarch. And a swords. So here comes the swords on a Leo. Ooh, nope.
Yeah. Ofly sees. That is correct.
So
Shardless is Cascade is a casting trigger.
So he didn't actually draw a card.
Yeah, as Lobber said.
He didn't draw a card off the target there, off of Leovold, and he should have. But that's a Cavern Harpy.
He is new. He is new to this deck. It's, he's he may be getting used to it.
Yeah.
Playing with Leovold's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of opportunities to miss your trigger.
But here comes an Allurin with a Cavern Harpy, and that should spell GG. Well, not GG, but at least 9 cards deep, it might be GG. Because it's not game over, because he still has to pay a life to return. Charlotte's Agent's a good draw. I don't think you want to cast that.
No.
Yeah, you're going to lose 2 life. Okay, return Cavern Harpy. Looks like it's he's doing with the Charlotte's Agent. Okay, now we're going to Crane.
4 deep. So he's going to find another Shardless Agent.
Yeah.
Going to cast that one for free.
This one should be... it should be about it, but we'll see.
We're going to actually see this Allurin deck go off.
Yep, there's Parasitic Strix.
That'll do it. Alright, so game 2 goes to Matthew.
I think this is a very interesting matchup, actually.
It really is.
2 value decks. One has a combo finish, and the other one's more of like a prison.
Well, how does it feel playing an Allurin deck, where like you want to cast your Allurin, but your opponent just showed you a company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, scary. Because if you go for it and they put in something that's gonna not allow you to do what you're doing, like a Leovold, then you could have an issue there.
Yeah. Thanks for the heads up, Bryce. I'll give that a look. What would you recommend bringing it down to, Bryce? Here, I'll change it. I'll move it down a little bit and see if that helps. So let me know if that does anything. Yeah, so Allurin, here, let's just bring up Allurin, right? Allurin reads that both players can play creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less.
Yep. Converted mana cost 3 or less for free at instant speed. Yep.
I did spell it wrong. There's not 2 L's, huh? Ha!
Is there only 1?
Yeah, there's only 1. I had a feeling. Like when I originally did it, I'm like, did I spell this right? And I didn't. Because I'm one of those geniuses or whatever they call them. Alright, so let's...
Yeah, I still remember the first time I ever played against a Allurin deck. And I was at a GP, or not a GP actually, it was a Star City event. And I was 5-0 with Jund. And I played on camera. And I had to, and Patrick Chapin was commentating the match, and I had to read Allurin about 10 times that match. And he kept saying, we got a reader. Yeah.
Yep, we're going to read it again.
Because it is one of those strange cards that you just don't really see that often. We have a couple people here that play it now, but, this was a couple years ago, and Allurin really wasn't played very much.
The man with a plan. Matthew is not playing recruiters. This is just a Sultai version. We do have another player in the room who plays with white in their deck with recruiters. So I believe today we have 2 Allurin players.
I believe you are correct. It's interesting that Ian left in Force of Will.
Yeah.
You know, you're playing 2 creature decks, and sure, maybe you don't want to learn to resolve.
Reed Duke wins GPs because he reads the cards. All right.
That's a pretty good one. Gonna have to say.
And Sean over here says rather read than lose. Agreed. I mean that's obviously how most players feel, but we can still make fun of them, right? Since we've been there, we can relate and we're allowed to make fun of them. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Allurin's a weird one. The wording is somewhat interesting. Any player may play a creature card with total converted mana cost 3 or less whenever he or she could play an instant and without paying its mana cost. Super weird. I mean, 4 mana enchantment.
4 mana enchantment that if, you know, there are a few really odd creature cards like Dreamstalker and Cavern Harpy that if they were never printed, Allurin wouldn't really do anything.
Nope.
Like, congrats, you just waited till turn 4 to drop an enchantment to cast your other stuff for free.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Yeah.
All right, turn 1, Carpet of Flowers again.
All right, so banking on the Carpet of Flowers. It's pretty good and we'll see if Ian will fetch an island here. You know, he does need white and blue because he's playing all the colors, but, you know, let's see if he actually decides to get a blue this time. Because if he does, that'll give Matthew another mana on his turn where he can cast something like a Shardless Agent on turn 2. And it's a Tundra.
What do I think is better, Food Chain or Allurin?
Well, if you ask Brian, he's got a quick answer for you.
If you ask Matthew, he'd probably have a quick answer in the other direction. I don't know the answer to that. I can give you an opinion, but
yeah,
I'd probably say Food Chain is better. But that I don't know that to be true.
So it's interesting, right? Like I feel like, and I've played Allurin, but not Food Chain.
This is what Bryce has to tell you.
Lightning bolt? What is that?
Hold on, I need to make sure I know what this does. Oh, it deals 3 damage.
Judge!
Okay. This is a pretty
Can I
old...
get an Oracle text on Lightning Bolt, please?
This is a pretty old card. I just want to make sure that it still does what it says it does.
Yeah.
The judge would probably come over, look at you, and be like, yeah, I'm not pulling that up for you.
Yeah,
Like,
no thanks.
Continue with your match. Thanks for wasting my time.
All right, Thoughtseize. Taking out the Leovold. You know, it depends on what his plan was, but if his plan is to play, you know, right there, Leovold, then maybe you just force that.
Hmm?
But now he's got 2 mana. Oh, I guess he didn't have another land, so I don't know. We'll see. But he's got Force of Will. Matthew's got a stacked hand. 2 Cavern Harpies, another land, Baleful Strix. And I think that's Abrupt Decay, is that last card in his hand.
Yeah, I think Abrupt Decay is just waiting for something like Leovold to come down again.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah, and I think Matthew's much better at trading off at this point. But I don't know if you trade that off, you know, that Strix there, because, you know, if you do draw an Allurin and you have, you can cast it, and you already have Cavern Harpy. So you want to make sure you have a Strix around so that you can go off. And his Strix really aren't doing anything to you. You know, 1 at a time is not too much under pressure. You can revoke a Harpy, that's for sure. Yeah, I've been known to Engineered Plague on Beast against the Harpy. That is another way to shut it off. But you can't let Cavern Harpy kill you. So
Yukai Hall. I'm not sure if you play at this store or not because I don't know your username, but I had somebody tell me that story just the other day. I guess it was like a P3K Japanese Stone Rain.
Really?
Yeah, and he like used it against his opponent, and his opponent actually wanted Oracle text for a Stone Rain. Yeah.
He probably just didn't believe the guy that it was actual Stone Rain. He's like, I don't really know what that is. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh man.
So Ian's draw for turn was a Death Right Shaman, which will help him advance his board a little bit. We'll see. Yep, can't force it with that one. You could Spell Queller it, but not enough mana. I think here comes a Strix and a Bird, but we'll have to see. I think you go Strix first in case you draw something that you want. I think you actually play the Strix into the open mana. That way you can, if you play the Strix right there, you can draw into something else before fetching, and then you know exactly what you need to fetch for if your mana isn't nice to you. But doesn't matter. Draws a Bird, or draws a Shardless Agent.
Who plays Spell Queller in Legacy?
Yeah,
Ian, I guess.
Those guys, those people playing Spell Queller in Legacy.
Plays,
come on.
Who plays Coco in Legacy? Yeah, that's right. He's playing a standard card in Legacy, and then another card that just left standard.
Yep.
I mean, if you wanted to play like. If you wanted to play Modern, all you had to do was just wait till Saturday, right? Or Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
The PPTQs are Modern right now. But no.
That is one of those crazy things, you know, because you could potentially play... I forgot my whole train of thought there.
Play a lot of things.
Yeah.
Change that. It's definitely not banned.
It is funny though, because Ian really has enough access to cards that he can play whatever he wants, you know. So
yeah.
And that is one of the things, I'm guilty of this too, is that I really like to, you know, play different decks, and I like to, you know, try and brew. I'm a brewer, and Ian's definitely a brewer. If you see the decks that he plays, he's always playing, you know, Tezzeret Control. Or he's playing Painter Servant
with black. Yeah, he adds black for it.
Or company decks. You know, in Modern he was playing Spirits, so Spell Queller is that's a pet card for him, I'm sure.
For sure. You know, Pinisag, Spell Queller, I don't necessarily think that Spell Queller is too slow for Legacy. Legacy isn't exactly like Modern in the way that you can just win very quickly. I find that Modern, a lot of games have been decided by turn 4, whereas I don't think Legacy's usually like that. There are decks that pose that way, such as Reanimator, Storm, some of the combo elements of the format, but Legacy really isn't a fast format. People think it is, but I see more games go long in Legacy than any other format. So with that said, I think Spell Queller is fine. I do.
Yeah, you know, it is awkward because these days I feel like there is more lightning bolts in Legacy than there is in Modern.
There are.
Which is a strange thing to say. I didn't think I'd ever say that. But, you know, with Fatal Push coming out and, you know, these Tron decks, you know, if Lightning Bolt could kill a Thought-Knot Seer, you'd see it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But that was an interesting play for Ian. He kind of thought, you know, he could equip the Jitte and attack, but he did have a Cavern Harpy out, so he could block and return it. And I think that's the reason why he opted to go for the birds. But Ian needs to draw another land. There it is. All right, so he's got company, but Matthew knows about his company because he Cabal therapied him.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jorgensen. I guess I shouldn't have been like so blunt about Modern, because it really isn't always that way. But I do think that Modern is a faster format than Legacy.
Sure.
That's an opinion. I'm not really sure that that's true, but that's the way I feel while playing it.
That is my opinion as well, actually, is that Modern is much faster. I just played a PPTQ last Sunday, and I felt like, in Legacy, you kind of get to a point where, you have to play things like Force of Will to extend the game past the first turns against certain decks. But when you play cards that 2-for-1 yourself, that in turn, makes the game go longer. Yeah. And when the game goes longer, you're top decking more, and you're kind of more at an even playing field. Obviously against mid-range matchups, but there's always those matchups also in Legacy where you're playing like a prison deck or something, and they chalice on one. Yep. And you can't cast your spells, but they can't win. Mm-hmm. So you just kind of look at each other, and it goes 20 turns. And if you ever draw a way to destroy that chalice, you have a chance to win.
Oh, the man with a plan. What I mean by fast is how many turns it takes to decide a winner. I think there's a lot more thinking involved in Legacy, so I don't know. I don't know if that clears things up for you or not.
Well, what I think is that you really, with Legacy, I wouldn't say it's necessarily more thinking. I think you just you have decisions to be made about things that you can't see a lot of time. You don't know if your opponent's holding a Force of Will, and they can cast it for free, and their mana can't represent it. Yeah. Where in Modern, there's not free spells unless you play like Commandeer or something, right? But like they've done a good job of taking those free spells out, mm-hmm. and whatever mana that you have represents what you can play.
Yeah, it definitely a generalization for sure. Yeah, and Jorgensen, both formats have slow matchups, of course. I'm not saying that there aren't slow decks. I'm just generalizing the formats as much as I can. Making tough decisions is fun, and that's why we play Legacy. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's another way to play Magic that there are more difficult decisions. I mean, I guess I don't really have any experience playing Vintage, but
yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
and that's one of those formats.
So I'll exclude that format from my statement.
Honestly, it scares me sometimes. A lot of people get scared of Legacy because they think that it is so fast and that they're gonna lose right away, or they don't get to play Magic. But that's usually the opposite. Not always. Sometimes you just don't get to play, and that is what it is. But Vintage is definitely compounded that way.
Fox, your outlook on Modern is hilarious. I love it. Legacy is half poker, half Magic. There's a lot of similarities for sure. Cloud Post is a thing. Cloud Post hasn't been a thing in Legacy recently, but it's definitely an option. But the mana is very fast. For sure.
So Ian trying to think of where he wants to equip his Jitte this time. Matthew is making that heads-up play of blocking with the Calvin Harpy each time that he attacks, and returning it so that he doesn't get counters on the Jitte. But there's an Allure, so that should end the game on the spot.
It should. Coco is shut off, and that's all he has in his hand. So
yep.
See, if I were Ian, I would have cast the Coco. just he knows he's dead. Just cast it. Yeah, they can't come into play, but don't worry about that.
Yeah.
A colorless Eldrazi post deck. I think I've seen it, but I didn't think too much of it. Voltaic key. But Marvel is coming? Oh geez, Fox, be quiet. I don't want to hear these things.
Which made the top 8 of Legacy Challenge a few weeks ago? The colorless Eldrazi post?
I'm not sure. Didn't realize that people were doing this. Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had seen that
For
earlier.
Ugin.
Ew.
Goodness gracious.
Where did the sword come from, Jorgensen? I don't know. I think I clicked a couple buttons. Is that okay with you?
So we check out and see if the other matches.
Yeah, definitely.
Still going?
Nope, we just see another empty table. Our favorite thing to see. I think this match lasted a good amount of time though. So
yeah, great.
Hopefully we can jump into the next round soon.
Yeah, I wonder if for Ugin or casting Ugin a Legacy is an interesting thing, because if it ever lands, doesn't get Force of Willed.
Jorgensen, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Hand sword. Hey, listen.
That reminds me of that Shia LaBeouf.
Oh yeah, the music video
Creeping in the woods or whatever. Yeah.
You spell Pearson Ugin? Well, that feels great.
Yeah.
Bet you walked out of that match feeling great. I guess unless you lost somehow after it.
And then he tapped Ancient 2 and paid for it. Yeah.
All right, so Matthew with his Sultai Lurin deck. And I know that this is his second tournament with it. So it's good to see that he's finding some success.
Yeah.
This last Friday, he lost to me in the finals with it. So
okay.
I mean, he went 2-1.
Yeah.
He's obviously playing it to some success.
Yeah.
Lurin's an interesting deck. I like it.
Lurin's a very strong choice, especially against these little decks that are trying to do something small, playing Daze and Force of Will and that kind of stuff, like Delver decks. It's not quite as good against those decks like Storm, where you can storm off on somebody and get them right away.
Brian, welcome.
Hi, thank you. We've got some great matches for you. Also, Nate wants to join you guys for a round because he's got the butt.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
What's up, man?
How you doing?
I got this term drill stuff. Also, if either of you want to take a break, you are welcome.
Yeah, do you want to take a break? Is what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Does
do
anyone
it.
want to take a
Sure.
break?
I'll take. Either way, whatever.
I'm sticking
I'm
in.
cool with whatever.
Have a seat. It's your thing. You volunteered your time.
No, that's cool.
You did. I don't care. I'll cast with anybody.
Sure, you can sit here and do it if you want. I'm not
Do
going to
it.
stop.
Do you want to all do it?
Yeah.
Cool.
I was
cool. I'll
offering
sit
in
back
case
here.
you wanted some time off.
Yeah, sure.
What are the two matches?
Some more
So
people
we got
checking this
Brandon
Danny and Caleb.
out. So
Yeah.
it's on table 1.
Yes.
So Brandon.
So this is Danny and then Caleb.
So Caleb's on Affinity.
Caleb is
and
on.
Danny is
I mean,
on.
not Affinity.
Eldrazi.
I know Eldrazi.
No, that was.
I read Affinity and
So-
thought the same thing.
That was true.
Yeah, I knew Drew was doing that.
And then this is Brandon. This isn't the same Brandon, right?
No.
Different
same
Brandon.
one.
What's he on?
No, it is.
Oh, it is.
You're on the same screen.
What?
Well, it's not the same Brandon, because the other one was Brandon Baker.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Brandon Baker. He's 2-0.
Okay. So this isn't the same player we were
Pretty sure that's
watching
not
earlier.
Brandon Baker.
It's on the other
okay.
screen.
Oh, maybe on the other
Then
screen.
who's this?
Caleb Havens.
This is
And
Caleb.
Danny. That's Danny's man.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's what I was
There we
asking. Caleb's playing.
Eldrazi.
Then what? Then what's Danny playing?
He's on Storm.
Okay.
Or no, he's on Black Red. That's right.
The Reanimator.
Black Red
I was gonna say
Reanimator.
if it's Danny Spence, he's on Black Red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's playing Storm on Saturday. But
So I
yeah.
always spell it.
He's always playing
Yep.
some sort of combo deck, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
All right, so we've got Eldrazi versus Reanimator. This should be fast, I think. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so Matthew's still
Yep.
still here,
So
and
there's-
this is Brandon.
That's
Yeah.
Brandon Baker, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Okay. There you go, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
You guys need anything? Water?
Grab me water. Thank
Oh.
you.
I'll take one of those.
All right. You too, Nick?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Finally, things set up. I can switch back over to table 1, see what they're up to. Always play the 12-12, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so we got somebody new sitting in with us. Have you been
Introduce
you sitting in
yourself.
with these guys?
I've done a couple pop-ins.
Pop-ins.
Sweet.
All right, so what do we think of this matchup, guys?
Black Red Reanimator against Eldrazi. So, I think that it's definitely favored for Black Red Reanimator. But Eldrazi has Chalice on 1, so that's a big deal. The play matters a lot. And, you know, if Caleb is playing Warping Whales, which I do believe he is, then he does have a little extra game against it. But that hand right there is interesting because it's 5 land and a Chalice. And 2 of those land are City Traders.
Always does this.
Thank you. So I think for sure you probably keep this if you're on the... that's a bad one.
Pop-ins.
Oh,
Mary
and Danny
Poppins.
was on the play.
I don't know if you can get a better 5 than that, though.
Well, it's true. Eldrazi does have ley lines. That could sway. That could sway this matchup after game 1.
Yep. So
And if Danny doesn't do something here, he could just wait.
Chancellor down.
Nope. Yep.
They both scried, so you hope they mulliganed? Yes. Then they mulliganed. you watch somebody
so
mulligan
that
down to
is
6. And
that
then-
was an interesting one. I think you wasteland there and hope for the best.
Yeah. So
That's what I would have done.
I was about to ask you, would you wasteland there? I think I would. Knowing that I'm gonna lose my first spell anyway, so I have nothing else to do. So he's got 1 land.
I wouldn't say it's favored for Eldrazi post board just because of ley lines. You still have to start with the ley line in your hand, right?
Yep.
I mean, there's definitely, if you have 4 ley lines, there's definitely a chance that you can just get there. But I would hardly call it a favored
Danny's hand
spot.
looks pretty bad here. You know,
There's your unmasked HC Fox. Sorry, Corey.
yeah.
He just ditched one.
You know, and it is interesting too, right? Because that play there, sure.
And 2
And in the 2. So he's had no reanimator effects?
Nope, not
Or-
in 2 Faithless. He hasn't seen one.
Well, if you mull to 6 with the Chancellor and a Faithless Looting, or 2, I think it's reasonable to not. You're going to draw into one of your 10 to 12 reanimation effects.
I agree.
Most likely.
I agree. You know, one of the other plays Caleb could have made was to play, you know, even play a Wasteland and, you know, put Chalice on 0. Keeps
Yep.
him
Yeah.
from Mox.
Keeps him off Mox and Lotus Petal. That was what he was hoping to do.
Yeah, that's what Jorgensen was just saying, that like he had to point it out that he put it on 1, like he didn't have to do that.
Sure.
Okay, there's the Entomb.
And did he draw the
I think the land was what he needed.
well, did he draw the Mimic there, Caleb, on that first draw?
I think that was in his opening hand. I think it's only pressure.
Because he could have, you know, played the Mimic and then maybe had it countered, and then you have something to put back with it too. I don't know.
Physics Zoom, yeah. That's actually a good point.
Doesn't seem great, but...
Hey, the man with the plan. Thanks for dropping in. Hope you have a nice night.
Have a good one. Yeah, I think at this point, Caleb is pretty much done. I don't think he has really any way to deal with Gristlebrand. I mean, double dismember. I'm not really sure what's going to get him there. Plus, Danny's going to be drawing so many cards here.
And he's going to Sire. He's going to just play Sire of Insanity and just make this game over.
Yeah.
Well, Jorgensen, we definitely don't have a plan anymore. That's for sure. Any plan that we did have, it's gone now.
Have you ever played this Eldrazi deck? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Corey
plays everything, so I've played against Corey in a lot of different decks.
I have it. It's pretty good. It's not really what I want to be doing. It doesn't like shut somebody out of doing something. It just is playing beaters that get you.
Yeah.
So like.
Oh yeah, you're playing the white version for a while.
I really like the white version, and I like it better. And the reason why I like it better is because you can do more things on turn one. You know, you're playing Mox Diamonds and Lotus Petals, whereas this version of Eldrazi doesn't play either of those. You're more, going for turn 2 Thought Knot Seer, but the other deck, you could essentially play a turn 1 Thought Knot Seer or turn 2, but you're trying to shut them out off of something on turn 1. So you can play like Thalia on turn 1, and against a lot of decks, that's just it. And then if you follow up with the other Thalia, man, there's not really a lot that people can do.
All right, so let's take a look at our backup match while they're getting ready for game 2.
Well, looks like there's a lot of nothing going on here. As Brandon's got...
Poor Brandon.
He can bolt stuff.
He's got another Death
Play
Right.
another Death Right. And I guess we'll see if...
But he's getting in there with the Death Rights, just turning them sideways and not to exile anything.
I see an Allurin in Matthew's hand. So
he could make quick work of this one.
He's got a glint.
Brandon probably has a force.
There is a force. I see it in the back of his hand. This is another one of those matchups where both decks have so many cards in common with each other, and yet they're just completely different decks.
Yeah. He's got to force this.
Yes.
Definitely has to force it.
I'm gonna throw away a Snapcaster.
That's probably right. He's got no mana.
So I've played this matchup quite a bit of times too, and I've always felt like this matchup really favors the Allurin player, but it depends on what kind of deck they're playing. If they're playing a lot of discard, Cabal Therapies and Thoughtseize, then they're super favored. If not, it just depends. But usually the card advantage from Shardless Agent and Baleful Strix, they don't usually kill you with Allurin, they just kill you with 1/1s and 2/2s.
Yeah. I played against Matthew in game 1. I knew he was playing Allurin after he played a bunch of weird green lands and then didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Then played a Bird of Paradise. But I couldn't assemble what I wanted to do in time for him to play Allurin and then just have the 2 combo creatures.
Sure.
And then in game 2, he Toxic Deluged me, which took me off like multiple Noble Hierarchs and stuff. And then I just eventually died to like a crazy looking board of several Shardless Agents and Baleful Strixes.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is it can kind of flood out the board there and just get in with the 1/1s and 2/2s.
Did Matt play against Ian?
He did, yeah.
How was that? Was that a board with Ian's Collected Companies?
It was an interesting game, but Ian kind of got stuck on 2 mana for a lot of the game.
Yeah.
And Matthew kept him off of, he kept drawing birds and Deathrite Shamans, and he kept him off of those. And then, Matthew kind of just drugged the game out, drew lots of cards, and ended up getting him. But the first game, Ian landed a turn 2 Leovold, and that was enough.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well,
All right.
let's jump back over. It looks like they're ready to start.
Yep.
Yep. All right, so Caleb's got Trinisphere, Chalice, Dismember, Endless One, Cavernous Souls.
An Expedition. No, it's not.
Sure, that's
I'm
an
gonna
eye
keep
moving
this.
there. Tormod's Crypt.
Okay.
Okay. Good
And Chalice for
sequencing.
0.
And then a 2.
And a 2-2.
That's
And a
a good
2-2.
start.
Okay. Dump my hand on the board.
Yeah, so Tormod's Crypt's really strong.
Oh, Jorgensen, it's not a ley line. It's a dismember.
So we'll see how
Good catch.
Danny wants to
Then he just lost the
navigate
chrome
this.
of that
Yep.
Chalice.
See how Danny wants to navigate this. You know, you can play around Tormod's Crypt. It's not as backbreaking as something like a Leyline of the Void, but very strong. And it's going to be pretty much game over if Caleb can draw a Urborg so that he can cast that Trinisphere
Yep. Or a Soul Land.
or a Soul Land. Yep.
Does dismember kill anything in black-red?
Danny has Sire of Insanity.
Siren Sands is 6-5.
6-4.
6-4. You're right.
6-4.
That's it.
So it's going to be
And,
Sire,
and if he has Ties About
and it
Tyrant,
gets
yeah.
Tides Bout.
I was sitting next to Danny,
Otherwise,
so I
no.
didn't see what was in his deck. He's going to force him to use the Tormod's Crypt here, and then hope to draw a land. He could also unmask and take the Trinisphere, and then just really sort of like force him to use it, and then wait him out.
There you go. Dismember kills your
Yep,
own
but Danny
Smasher.
Danny doesn't know that he's got a Trinisphere in his hand, right?
No, but he's got the unmask in his hand.
Right, but he might want to. Might want to unmask himself after that happens.
That Dark Ritual, yep.
Right.
Yep. So he still
So
has
he's got
2
2
black
So it's
voting?
2 black mana. Unmask himself and put Siren in there. And then reanimate.
What a
Or
turn.
animate dead.
But he has Dismember, guys. He has Dismember.
Yep.
Dismember.
Got it. So now Danny's empty-handed.
There it is. You
And
know?
if he can find a land for this this Trinisphere,
That's an awesome sequence by Danny, and an even better Dismember.
he
by
still
Caleb.
needs another land though before he finds a reanimate spell.
He's going to take Reanimate off the table pretty soon, though. It's a Thought Not Seer, which
Thought
you
Not
can
Seer.
cast. Faithless Looting.
See ya.
Exile.
Exiled.
And now he's on a 2-turn clock. Whether he draws a land or not.
Yeah, Sire's not the best thing to bring back at this point. Where there's already a 4/4 on the board.
You know, Danny's hand was really good too. Had he been on the play, he might have been able to just go off that first turn. So this is looking like to me that there's not much chance that. Oh, interesting. So by firing that up there, you know that puts him to 3. Doesn't really take anything away.
Well, he can't use Reanimate.
That's true.
So-
You can't use reanimate.
So Fox is saying that he should have unmasked the opponent first and put the Smasher into the graveyard and reanimated the Smasher.
Would have forced him. Well, then he had another reanimation spell which he could have used.
Yeah.
That's actually a good point.
No,
it would have been good.
you're right. That would have been a very good play.
He didn't know he had the Smasher, so it was kind of a blind unmask. But no, it's a good point.
He is playing Eldrazi, so
Yeah, Eldrazi's going to have a zillion creatures. He could unmask. He could reanimate his Thought Not Seer, and that could be pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Or like something stupid like Endbringer if he's got it. Interesting choice for Caleb to bring in the Pithing Needle here now. Wonder if there's a play draw consideration there.
you probably want to have more things that you can cast on turn 1. You want to be able to cast everything on turn 1 as much as you can anyway. I feel like, but maybe more things to cast on turn 1. Maybe Dismember comes out because if he sires you on turn 0 anyway, then before you get a turn, you can't Dismember it anyway.
All right, so let's take a look into this to our backup match. In between games.
Well, this is interesting. Brandon still has 3 Deathrite Shamans out and 2 lands. And it looks like he's been able to cast True Name and Leovold and keep him off of doing his thing. But now Lurin and Cavern Harpy.
I don't think Matthew can win from this spot though, because he can be drained with Deathrite and then just attacked by True Name. Cavern Harpy isn't really doing anything. He could bounce the Cavern Harpy.
He's got to go one more time. That is an active Deathrite, looks like.
Yeah. So he's gonna go to 3. He's gonna play it. Yeah, so you can't do anything with that Jace or that him. Those are sorcery speed.
Yep.
What card can he possibly hit off this Shardless Agent?
So off the Shardless Agent, he's got to hit... Nothing. There's nothing.
Glint Nest, Crane, and then Parasitic Strix. I actually don't... Oh, sorry, no. Actually, if he hits Glint Nest, Crane, and then the Glint Nest, Crane hits the Parasitic Strix, you can play the Strix, gain 2 life, and then he can win.
He could. Yeah. He could win.
So that's his out here.
The Crane into Strix. Yep. Jorgensen called it.
That is good. That's good. Crane.
And Baleful Strix, wrong Strix. Another redraw though to the.
But he got Leovold off the table.
We have it. Bird of Paradise. Can't do that.
He can minus down because if the Deathrite activates, he can respond to the activation and go off instant speed.
Well, he pays a life and it still doesn't go straight to his hand, right?
Well, yeah, it looks like Brandon should have probably, in response, I think he's just going to pack him up, which is probably right. Yeah. So it's not like Wirewood Symbiote.
Right. Yeah, so he'd have to do it in response to him paying the life into the trigger of Cavern Harpy going back to the hand. Because if it makes it back to the hand, then he can just cast it again.
Oh, and the other game has already started? Jeez. They shuffle fast.
Well, they're both fast players.
Yeah.
Looks like he had a Unmask that hit a Sphere of Resistance, and then Reanimate was hit by Warping Whale.
Awesome.
But the fact that Danny chose not to take the Warping Whale probably indicates that he has multiple avenues to Grizzle Daddy here or something.
Yep. Or Grave Titan.
Grave Titan.
Grave Titan does not die to Dismember. And it blocks all the Eldrazi's.
6/6 with Death Touch. Yep, he went for it. Now the question is he gonna... There's like a 1 card left, so I don't think it's possible for him to... Oh no, this isn't his turn. This is Caleb's end step. Caleb has just tapped to play this Eldrazi Mimic.
Right. And we have a Reanimate.
Trigger.
Grave Titan. This isn't the best thing that he could have, right? The Eldrazi deck can actually beat this.
I don't think from this position they can beat it.
Yeah,
though.
maybe not from this position.
If Caleb plays a land, right, and he can cast Thought Knot Seer, he can block the Grave Titan, and there's only 8. There's 4 zombies, 8 power on board.
Yeah,
he's gonna
maybe he can go from there.
He's gonna take 4 here off Ancient Tomb to do that. Also, the reason Danny went for Grave Titan is that there's a Karakas in Caleb's hand. So
that's
at least he's gonna get some value of it. He's gonna attack now for 10.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Oh, only 4. Interesting. I wonder.
He knows that he has a Dismember, and that would have taken care of the Grave Titan. But I still think you make that play.
He just didn't want to risk it.
This Dark Ritual on the Chancellor. Exile. game.
Caleb making sure game states staying the same. He is a judge, after all. Yeah, that is interesting, you know, because he has Dismember there. And he knows about it.
Yeah, so Fox mentioned Shield Red, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. Do these decks typically play Shield Red in the 75?
I don't think so.
I've never seen one.
No, as cool as that would be. To it.
The only time I ever see Shieldred is in Cube. He's got to draw his card off the Thought Knot. Unless he's going to forget.
He's like, I don't need your card.
I don't think there's a possible way.
I'll tell you to do it.
It is
You will draw.
It is keeping the game state, because that one you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Again, Judge Caleb.
Yeah, it's your creature. You can't forget your own creatures.
Yep, I was thinking the same thing, Fox, and I remembered it is a 6/6 with Death Touch. So even if you shrink it, it still kills your Thought Knot Seer.
Yep.
Let's see. So he could draw on all his dust, and I think that's what he's got here.
Why wouldn't a 6/6 have Death Touch? Obviously.
All his dust? Nope.
What could have been more necessary?
He's still alive there, but now he can't tap his Ancient Tombs after this.
I think he's dead.
Yeah,
I think that'll do.
No, he's dead.
Hey, look, Grave Titan. Found it.
No, you can't cast all his dust. Caleb should be at 2,
Yeah, I'll just pack it up.
but he'll pack it up.
All right, so Danny will take this with Reanimator.
So I think that's about exactly how that matchup goes.
Who wins the die roll?
Whoever wins the die roll. You know, and not only that, the Eldrazi player really needs to win the die roll and then draw the important cards.
So it looks like we've got a nice... Oh, now we've got dueling Leovold.
Leovold Mirror.
Yep.
Nobody draws
Both
cards.
played turn 2 Leovolds, too.
Oh,
Trigger.
all right. We've got an answer to one of them. Somebody wants to draw cards, and I think it's Matthew.
Matthew has a Brainstorm in his hand, so he's got draws.
Yep.
And then he's going to well, I guess he doesn't need to here. He's got a land drop, yeah.
Yeah, he's got the fetch for it as well.
So there's another on the play thing that mattered, right?
Who had the first Leovold?
We had the first Leovold, and then the other one got 2.
Mm-hmm.
But since it was the other person's turn, he still got to draw his card off of Leovold.
Here's the question. You could have played the fetch land, gone to their turn, and nuked Leovold in the upkeep. So they could only draw one card that turn. But, you know, I got in a duel and Leovold situation in Vegas, and I just didn't realize until it was way too late how to navigate it.
Yep. Looks like Brandon's pretty heavy on lands there, at least 2 of them. Looks like he's got 3 of them. Matthew's texting his grandma.
Wait, what time could be better?
Yeah. Sorry, Grandma. I'm facing a Leovold right now. I need to focus.
Yeah, he didn't even attack either. It was a little odd.
I think he forgot to attack.
Yeah. He's like, oh, oops.
There's a swing.
Yeah, and he did crack the fetch right after the brainstorm as well. I'm not sure exactly what's in his hand. Maybe he had another reactive spell that he wanted to keep open. Not sure.
Is that Black Sun Zenith that we were thinking about before?
You just find it.
Brandon's got a Black Sun Zenith?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Tough legacy decisions. Hashtag.
Yeah, he's playing Black Sun Zenith, and then then you can play that new card, that Grind to Dust.
Grind to Dust. And
Exile everything that has a
Minus
-1.
That seems awful.
Hey, that's one way to get rid of, anything.
There
Literally.
you go. Oh, thanks for the random fact, Fox. I was actually really curious about that. Thank you.
So here's a Jace. I bet you he does not brainstorm.
He's going to bounce Leovold? Interesting, not where you want to be.
All right, there's a Lurin.
Thoughtseize
Okay,
you.
Thoughtseize.
Oh, there you go.
Draw Lurin, then Thoughtseize. Okay. Yeah, he's going to hide it. Good call. Good call. That Rancor would look better with a Rancor on it. I know you meant to say bird, but I liked it. I liked it better the first way you said it, Lobert. Oh man. How both of these?
So he's letting him have Leovold, obviously, because he drew the. Oh, but he's letting him have the Parasitic Strix. That's interesting. Because Allurin's on top of his deck.
But if he draws and slams Allure and then just plays Leovold and Shardless Agent, like, that's pretty good. He could even therapy him and see if there's anything he doesn't really want. He took Leovold.
But if he also if he slams, it doesn't look like Brendan has a way to back it up. So if he slams Allurin right here, that's game over.
Yeah,
I wonder if he would therapy here. Well, I guess yeah, he could. He could therapy here, naming Force or something. It's interesting that he chose not to do it.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's.
Double check, see what's going on.
Is that a land right next to his therapy?
Yeah, Jorgensen. He does need a Harpy, but he has.
Well, never mind.
Yeah, he has Shardless Agent.
Oh,
so
okay, yeah, that's right.
Since he has Shardless Agent, he can just. Well,
If
I guess he had to set it up, huh?
Yeah, he set up with a brainstorm.
Okay. Wow, he had to like trust that he wouldn't take the Strix.
I'm now
That's what
on
I'm
Matthew
saying.
always
That's
has
an
it.
interesting one.
Yeah.
I would have not let him think about the Strix there. But then Cavern Harpy was the other one too.
Well, the only thing he could have done would have been to put Strix and he just takes the Allurin.
Yeah, Jorgensen, I missed that as well.
There's no way to protect all parts of the combo.
Sure.
No guts to glory.
Looks like we're gonna go to game 3 here, and we're gonna have Brandon on the play.
Now my 1-1 is accurate, but I'm in the wrong round. Let's fix that. All right.
So I think I'd rather be Matthew, but I don't think that this matchup is, that favored for Sultai Allurin. But I'd rather be on the Allurin side.
I think him being on the draw here is gonna be tough.
Sure.
Brandon can do some stuff. Then I think he's more likely to be on the mid-range plan. Yeah, on the play or on the draw here.
Maybe he gets to play the turn 2 Leovold and destroy the other one.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the combo in hand. Let's see if he has enough lands. He's a Pithy Needle on Harpy, and
A
a
Thoughtseise.
Thoughtseize, and a Brainstorm.
Is that Supreme Verdict?
Pretty simple.
It is a Supreme Verdict.
Matthew's a Supreme Verdict?
No, Brandon.
No, Brendan.
No,
They can't have a Supreme Verdict.
because he's not
He's
playing.
not playing white, right?
What is that gold card then? Maybe
That's
that's
Leovold.
Leovold.
Yeah.
Is it Leovold?
Yeah, that's
He has
gotta be
Pithy Needle,
It looks-
Leovold,
it looks
Brainstorm, Thoughtseize, and 3 lands. That's pretty
I thought it
sweet
was
hand.
Supreme Verdicts as well.
Yeah. That is definitely a sweet hand for Brandon. I think that with him on the play and Matthew mulliganing and him having that hand, it can stop the combo and everything. It's
a lot of interaction.
Mulligan against Thoughtseize is brutal.
Yeah.
And if Matthew gets stuck on a fetch land hand and Brandon can needle one of the fetch lands on his turn 2,
yeah.
that would be pretty sick. And then just play Leovold so he can't draw.
That's seriously, that's one of my favorite things to do is name lands with Pithing Needle.
Nope, I'm just going to draw that. Okay.
Especially when you can Thoughtseize first and then be like, hey, let me just see what you got, and I'll name those lands.
So he's got double Lurin, Cavern Harpy.
Is that double Flooded Strand?
And double Flooded Strand.
Let's see it.
Yeah, right.
This
is why everyone should be playing Elvish Spirit Guide in your Thoughtseize Pithing Needle deck.
So with the Pithing Needle, do you take the Harpy? Because he can't play it, right? Because it just returns itself to its owner's hand until he draws something else.
Yeah. I don't think it doesn't feel good here to take the Harpy, but taking one Alurin.
So I think you do take the Harpy.
If you guys get a land.
I think you do take the Harpy so that you can name Needle the Flooded Strands.
Maybe you get lucky and he draws like a Bird of Paradise that he's Savannah to Bird of Paradise.
Yeah, and then just Needle his.
Then you Needle Flooded Strands.
And then he's never casting a Learn if that's actually the thing that happens.
You've got Brainstorm. You've got all sorts of stuff. You're fine. I think you got it. Well, he did choose to go for one Learn. Maybe he's got a Surgical in his deck.
Sure, that makes sense.
I mean, it's not. It's one of those Thoughtseizes that feels terrible.
Yeah.
Now, ironically, if he had Thoughtseize Matthew's initial hand, it would have been more brutal because Matthew would have had a more fragile hand. This hand's just kind of bad.
See, this is one of those where I'm just.
You put it on the stack and you see what they respond.
I'm all in and I just go. I just do it. Obviously, now he's gonna name the Harpy, but. Unless he doesn't, unless he lets him just resolve it. Oh, he let him resolve it.
Or if he named Flooded Strand.
Oh, I would name that.
Do you want me to go check?
I don't think he did. We'll see. We'll see if Matthew can.
He's playing a second Flooded Strand. Oh, no. Oh.
No.
He named Harpy.
Oh, come on, Brandon. Make the play.
So close.
Yeah, if I would have to do it. If my opponent let me just resolve the Pithing Needle, I have to name it. It's just in my blood.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's the right play or the wrong play. It doesn't matter. I just have to do that.
So Matthew's got Trop Savannah here. I wonder what he's going for. I guess he could be going for a Sylvan Library if he's got it. Yep.
Cha-ching.
There's not much else you're getting there. He's going to Brainstorm here.
Oh, he's totally going to slam Leovold.
He's going to slam Leovold, which will make that...
Oh, and a man with a plan left for the night. He didn't get to see it.
Yep. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, actually, the interaction. Playing Leovold and the other your opponent has Sylvan Library, and if you, like on Magic Online, if you allow the Sylvan Library trigger to happen, you get to...
You have to put...
You have to pay life to keep
no
the
matter
card.
what?
Well, unless you don't have it, right? So if you don't have the life to pay, I bet you don't. You just can't have that trigger.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about.
Well, I'm sure that's how it's supposed to work on Magic Online. I doubt it actually works that way.
Yeah. That's fair.
So I think we shuffle and play Leovold here.
Yeah, he knew it. Do I still have to shuffle?
Yes.
He still has to shuffle.
Just cut it. You shuffle. All right. Hey, look, Leovold. Look at that.
Strange. So bad against Sylvan Library. Interesting. You can't Brainstorm, so he's playing Jite.
That's a sad Jite with nothing that I can possibly attach to in this universe.
Yep.
He can play the Harpy. I mean, it's Pithing Needle, and he can just throw the Jite on.
And then the Harpy will just
returns
bounce itself because
it
has to return.
That's
something.
right, it has to. So he needs another creature badly.
And a Jace here would probably just about tie this up. Matthew would have to have a pretty sweet hand and pretty sweet cards on top of his library to beat a Jace here. Excuse me.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Why is Savannah in this deck?
He is
What?
Recruiter of the Guard.
See, we haven't seen any.
Yeah, we
This
haven't
is
seen
this
it
is
yet.
the second round we've seen him.
Yeah, he didn't have to play against me
it was
either.
it was Sultai when I played him on Friday. So I don't think this is Recruiter.
So there's a
I'm
thought
just wondering what the
that thought
white
has
is
got to shore it up, right?
therefore.
Like take out.
No,
that
you're
part.
right. I didn't see the Recruiter Guard. I just assumed he had it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, because he said you could Recruiter the Guard for... Oh, he has Orzhov Pontiff. He brought it.
Oh,
He's
okay.
going to bring it against me because I have Step Links.
Gotcha. Oh, that's right. You played the landfall deck, huh?
So I'm on the buy.
Hey, but has it been fun? Has it been fun?
Not as fun as it was last week.
No. All right.
I haven't really been able to do anything. I played against...
Jorgensen, you're absolutely right. I didn't even know it was a learn until the last turn of my feature match. last week I played against him in the finals, and in game 2 I'm like beating down with Rencor, and then on the turn he's gonna die. He plays Shardless Agent and goes past 3 Allurans. I never knew the deck was Allurn.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you don't know.
This match hasn't been that way though. Yeah, so I say it was Sultai. Yeah, you're right. It's pretty apparent I know nothing. Ooh, Jace on an with no creatures on the other side of the board.
I think you go up top here.
I think you do too. Just Fate Seal. You don't need the extra cards.
You know, he's...
Your board's too good.
Here,
Parasitic
Six
Strix.
Strix. Which can carry a GT.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if does he have a way to kill it if he Snapcaster, if bounces on Snapcaster with Jace? Bouncing on Snapcaster with Jace feels so good.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, so he gets to play the Harpy too.
No, I don't.
He gets to
No,
play
Parasitic
Lure.
Strix is 3, so he doesn't have enough mana.
No, he gets to
Oh,
play
he does
Lure.
have. Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he gets to cast Allure and play the Strix, and
I
then
think-
play Harpy, and then play the Strix again.
Yeah, that's exactly what he gets to do.
No, I think he does. Did he just win?
No, because the Pithing Needle.
Oh, the Pithing Needle's on.
Yeah,
Harpy.
he
Okay,
can't
yeah, that's
activate
right.
it.
Well, there you go. I still think Needle on fetch land. He wouldn't be in this position anyway.
It's very true. Yeah, I mean, Matt's just drew his second land if it was Needle on fetch land. And it's funny because Brandon had
Barrier. I was wondering about that myself. There's a trigger involved.
He played the Harpy first, and then with the trigger on the stack, he's trying to play the Strix. But does the Harpy demand?
Harpy demands that it returns a card, a creature.
It's when it enters the battlefield.
So
Yeah.
so it's still a trigger. So you can with the trigger on the stack, you can play the Strix, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So he should be okay to do this. They're just pulling it up and looking at the ruling, I assume.
Yeah, the gating.
Caleb's
rule.
not doing anything. Get over there.
So he gets to. So essentially, he can cast. He can play the Harpy with the trigger on the stack, return the Baleful Strix. I mean, not the Baleful Strix, the Parasitic Strix, and then cast it again. But that he doesn't get another trigger, and he can't return the Harpy at that point.
He's just trying to stay alive here. Cavern Harpy and Strix. Now I wonder if you just have to keep going upstairs and hope to keep him off Abrupt Decay, which I think is your only way that you really lose. Because you can attack with Leovold. Yeah, I'm going to say it was actually a mistake letting him have a creature that he can feed to Cavern Harpy with the GT on board.
Sure.
It may end up not mattering, but it's probably Matthew's best line to get back into this game.
So
He's gonna take 5 here, right?
He can take Virtual 7 with the Death Right. I think it probably doesn't matter just because he has so many guys, but if he gets that GT counter...
He gets to end of turn play the Strix and go back up to 6. And then he gets to throw GT on it and and hit the Jace,
It's
right?
like True Name, Deathrite Shaman.
It's MTG Jeff. The needle is on the Harpy, the Cavern Harpy, that I have pulled up at the at the moment. Otherwise, this would be an infinite.
He just won 2 triggers for the drain.
Yeah, I mean, he would get 2 triggers for the drain anyway, right?
Yeah.
You cast a Parasitic Strix, then you return the Parasitic Strix to the Cavern Harpy, just like what he did. But there's no really... So, Brandon didn't have to pay for that or that. So this is Brandon not knowing exactly what he's...
This is right-click cast, not right-click cast with Allurin.
Yeah. So he could have played those on Matthew's turn, if he wanted to. Save the information.
Oh, game over.
Oh,
Got it.
Go upstairs with Jace. You had to go upstairs.
So he gets to draw a card with the Leovold, but I can't think of anything. Okay.
no, that's game.
He's not even gonna draw his card. He's just gonna be done. Oh yeah, because
He has Strix in hand.
yeah, he's got it.
Oh, this is in response to the... All right.
Okay.
That'll do it. Allurin is. I assume we'll see Allurin.
Winning
this
out of
next
nowhere
round.
is good.
Yep.
That is a thing that when your deck can do that.
I mean, we know he had that card in his deck, but
If he would have Fate Sealed, he'd have saw the Abrupt Decay put on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Game over. You know, because Matt can't survive, another turn without blocking. And he can't have any way to return his creatures.
I don't want to harp on this, but if he thought seizes the Harpy and then Matthew plays a Flooded Strand and then a Pithing Needle resolves, the game is over. like he never would have gotten to cast either of those 2 Allurins. He never would have gotten to cast a GT. You would have had Leovold against. He never would have cast a Sylvan Library. Like nothing would have happened.
Yeah. And he would have cast he did cast a second Thoughtseize, and he still didn't take it. He took the Strix.
Well, he had to there because otherwise he would have had a way to equip GT with a creature that could attack Jace.
He can just bounce it.
Then I guess he had the Leovold, so he's not going to draw cards. I mean, then your Jace is bouncing, and you're letting him draw for his turn while your Jace ticks down.
It's not great, but I still think that it's better. I think it's better than losing to leaving all the combo pieces in there than just losing. Because I don't think he can lose from that position anyway, even if he got to draw cards. But
No, you're right in that Matthew's deck cooperated very well.
It did.
And Brandon didn't really hit the corners that you needed, the corner case that you needed to.
Sure.
But letting him have the Strix and the Harpy and the Allurin, just let him assemble the combo and draw 2 Abrupt Decay.
Yep.
Of course, I'm playing Step Links in my deck, so what do I know?
So we're going to have a finals of Allurin and Black-Red Reanimator. That's what Patrick informs me, and I think we kind of figured from these matches, but...
Well, I want to see if I have a 4th round match. Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for
See
dropping
you
in.
soon.
Yeah.
Corey, always a pleasure.
Always.
And was that away? Do you guys need anything else?
Good.
No,
Outside
I'm
world?
pretty set
Chilling.
up.
All right.
Thank you. All kinds of good insight in that match. Three people to give all the light, shed all the light on the match. It's awesome.
Nate's he's a very technical player, and he knows whatever he decides to play. He knows what he's playing. He's a brewer.
Well,
Just
yeah,
like,
he's
he's playing Step Links tonight. So
yeah, he played it. I think he played it last week too, and we had it on camera for a minute, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we covered the whole match.
Sure,
it was interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting.
I've played against him playing that deck, and it's pretty sweet. I get pretty stoked about it. It's awesome. But again, you play against. It is one of those decks that it can go pretty fast, but it's not as fast as Black-Red Reanimator or Storm or something like that. And so it's not going to necessarily combo kill you out, but then it also loses to the control decks like Delver, where they can, daze and replicate your things, and lightning bolt your step links. But it's a pretty fun deck, and there's a lot of plays to it.
Yeah.
I saw him even, he's playing Knight. Maybe it's a different one, but he was playing Knight the last time, and he's playing like Blessed Alliance, and so he could untap his Knight and go again. And
I want to say we saw that when we were watching him, because to us, we've seen Blessed Alliance just like, okay, make you sack a creature, gain 4 life, but we always forget that there's like a third mode that could be relevant, and he's like untapping Knight, and we're like, whoa,
yeah,
it does a thing. What?
And then he gets a fetched land, and then gets another land, and then untaps Knight and does it again. And with Step Links out, that puts 4 triggers on the stack, and plus the one for turn, you got a 10, 11 Step Links.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fox, he's stepping up his game. Jesse Coons, what's up?
What up, Jesse?
Welcome in.
It's good to see you every once in a while, even though it's in pixels instead of in real life.
Yeah. My goodness, do I have your name? Okay. This is how you spell your name, right? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
C-O-R-Y. That's it.
All right. He spelled it with an E, and I was like, oh my goodness, did I spell his name wrong? I'd be so embarrassed.
Yeah, Jesse's a good guy. We used to play Legacy. I was trying to get Legacy, that bigger Legacy scene, and we were trying to get some people, and we would fire 8-mans over at Game Haven, and we finally got enough people to show up every week, and Jesse was one of those, and he showed up every single week playing the exact same deck. And man, he taught me a few things about what not to do against Sneak and Show.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Sneak and Show's a good deck, and surprisingly enough, we don't see it around here.
yeah,
I've seen it. I've seen a couple players pilot it, but we've never had it on stream.
sure.
It seems to be getting pretty beaten up.
Yeah, so it is one of those decks that it's not as good against Death and Taxes because it doesn't usually have the turn 1. It can turn 1 you.
Yeah.
But it's usually a little bit slower than Black Red, and Death and Taxes is a tough matchup for that. And there's a lot of Death and Taxes players here,
Yes.
so that has something to do with it.
I have noticed that a lot of the Death and Taxes players have built other decks, though.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, one of our Death and Taxes players has been playing lands for the last couple weeks, and then
Paul?
Paul, and then Matthew's been on this Lurin deck.
Mm-hmm.
I know of like 1 or 2 other people who have access to Death and Taxes.
Yep.
But
So Ian has access to Death and Taxes. Josh just built it, but I think it wasn't fun for him. He likes to go back to his control deck. It's more decisions, he says. And there was another guy. He actually made top 4 of that Legacy tournament. I can't remember his name. He just said it. I knew it.
that's the person I was thinking of, and I'm so terrible with names. I really am just awful.
He top 4'd at the Legacy tournament on Saturday, and Alan. It's Alan.
Alan, yes.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, Alan, I think Alan has access to Death and Taxes, and he also has access to Burn, but then he's friends with, people who have other decks too. So sometimes you'll see him on lands, but it would be like Allie's lands.
Yeah, I've seen
and that. Ray plays, he had Sneak and Show, I don't know if he still has it, but he was playing Sneak and Show, and so sometimes Alan will borrow from him too. But
yeah, the elusive 5-0, right? I hear that from a lot of players. But no, that's good that Sneak and Show can put up a solid 4-1 though, because I mean that is not nothing.
Well, it's one of those things where, Legacy is that kind of format where it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to go 5-0 back to back to back to back. I mean, you know, you're playing all kinds of decks, and you just can't possibly be prepared for everything. And I think that's you want to be able to meta game for what you think you're going to play against, but sometimes that's not always how it works.
Hull breach? Why are we bringing up hull breach? Yeah, I was actually really scared to see when Top got banned. I was so unsure of where the format would go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a couple predictions, and I only have access to a couple legacy decks right now, and one of them is my choice deck, which is Jund. And when Top gets banned, I'm like, oh, please.
That's one of Jund's best matchups.
Oh, Sneak and Show?
No, not Sneak and Show.
No, I'm talking about Sneak and Show.
Sorry, Miracles. When
Yeah,
Top
Miracles.
got banned.
Yeah, it was great. But the thing is once it dropped off, I was like, oh man, is Sneak and Show, like, please Sneak and Show don't be a big deck, because it's such a difficult matchup for Jund. It's just not even all that winnable, to be honest.
I played Sneak and Show I played against Sneak and Show with Jund maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 times in a tournament, and I think I've won 1. And I got super lucky, and he got super unlucky. So, yeah, it's not a good matchup. But you know, it is one of those things where every once in a while you go Thought Season to him, and then you just get all their best cards, and then they can't get there.
You can. I mean, it's very similar to the way that Jund plays against Tron, right?
Right.
You just kind of.
It's not good,
strip their hand for a moment and hope it gets there.
Yeah. If you strip the right cards, you take the win.
Yeah. This is table 1, right?
Yeah. So it looks like it's Brandon, which we know he's been on camera all night.
Yeah, and so
playing 4-color control.
Yeah, hold on. Before we switch off of our faces, let's see. Because this is the match that we were gonna watch, right? This is
Well, this one is Matthew.
This is the finals. These are.
Brandon. Oh no, you're right. Actually,
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You are correct.
So this is gonna be
Matthew.
Yeah, I have Matthew.
Okay.
And then who's playing the Black Red Reanimator? Is that what this is?
Yeah, Black Red Reanimator to lure him, and then
Danny was playing Black Red Reanimator.
Yeah. And then
hold on.
Since we just had Brandon on camera last time, we're gonna bring Zach and Noah Hargraves on. They got the same record on the other table.
Okay.
So Zach's playing.
Zach's on
Alert again.
So this is Zach, or no? This is Zach.
Zach, and then Noah on Blue White Miracles. Impotent.
The most important of miracles.
Yeah.
I is impotent. I is kind. No, that's not how it goes. I is kind.
Sorry, Zach was on.
Zach's on 11.
This is the 4-color alert, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, he plays recruiters.
And then, sorry, remind me again.
Noah.
Fast. Oh yeah,
Hargraves?
Noah's on the miracles.
Impotent.
Okay. He lost in our finals of our Legacy Classic on Saturday.
Yeah, tough one.
Definitely gave him a little bit of razzing for it.
Yeah. All right, let's. So what do we think, guys? Do we want to watch the finals? We should probably start with the finals, right? It's Reanimator.
Let's watch the finals.
Yeah, let's.
We have
the
seen them
finals
both play.
Should be faster.
Yeah, but with Black Red Reanimator, it should be.
We saw a lot of Brandon tonight, so I decided to pull them.
Yeah, excellent. I think and where it's important miracles on the other side, we should be able to catch up with our match leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's see what's going on. Thank you, Patrick.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Much appreciation.
Oh yeah.
Ah yeah. Oh, thanks, Riley. Hope they mulligan out of the game and kill them before they get to join. You obviously care about Magic so much. And dark depths everywhere. Yeah, we haven't seen any dark depths today. I feel like most of our legacy streams we're seeing a good amount of dark depths in Loam.
Mm-hmm.
But not today.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, you know, you got to get the right people here, and I think a lot of the people who play Dark Depths in our meta, besides Paul, you know, live down south, and sometimes Tuesday's a little bit hard to make it up.
Oh, okay. That's in regards to Jund versus Sneak and Show. All right, that makes more sense. Well, you Riley, you remember the match that I had? It was a winning in to I had a winning in to the top 8 of the Game Grid Invitational.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing against Justin Sloan, and I'm on Jund. He's on Tron, and
yep.
I want to say I like had a miracle of a game and won game 1, and he just trashes me game 2. In game 3, I hit like 2 Fulminator Mage, and was able to kill him. It was rough.
Sweet.
It was.
No, that's awesome.
It's incredible. It's incredible getting like you know you're winning in on your worst matchup. Just
Yep.
doesn't happen a lot. But all right, let's take a look at this.
So it looks like Danny had the turn 1. He was on the play, and he thought seized Matthew instead.
Yeah.
So he did have to mulligan, so he's down a couple cards, and that's probably what got him to thought seize his opponent instead of himself. Looks like he's got a pedal, a Faithless Looting in hand. There's that pedal, and there's that Faithless Looting.
And we'll just go for that now. We're going to see a brainstorm, see if he can find a way to interact with this.
I found a Sylvan Library, which...
And he doesn't.
No. So there's a Reanimate. And an Unmask. I see an Unmask, and it looks like a Dark Writ. That's the Invocation Dark Writ, which he might be putting on top there so that he can... he's unmasking himself.
Unmasking.
Or his opponent.
How many players did we have tonight? I believe we had... I think it was like 17, 18, somewhere around those lines. Where we have this silly Utah holiday, we really have had less people show up during this weekend, not just for this tournament, but for our tournament yesterday, which people are out of town.
Yep.
But I think this is a pretty good I think it's a pretty good showing for a holiday weekend, so.
Yeah. So he got to reanimate the Gristlebrand. That was the play. He did it. He pulled it off perfectly.
And for God's sakes, name the Strix.
So it is interesting there, right? Like, he knows that Matthew's got the Strix because he got him. So maybe, or does he have another Strix in his hand, or did he get all the Strix?
I'm not sure.
Because, you know, if not, there's something to be said to, you know, just draw the 3, draw 7 more, and
yeah,
go from there. And maybe you can get like an Unmask on the other Strix.
To answer your question, Jesse, yeah, it's a little lower than usual. Usually we're mid-20s, which is great, but during the summer our numbers have been a little lower. Usually we're high teens the last couple weeks. So
if you're gonna draw 7 here, then you know you're gonna attack. You might as well have drawn it to see if you can take that Strix out.
Yeah. He did. There is a Tidespout Tyrant in there, which...
He can't do anything now, right?
Yeah,
he's
he
at
can't.
3, so he's got to attack. And then I can't quite see all his hand, but it looks like he drew a lot of lands. Maybe that's a Dark Writ and an Entomb.
Yeah, it's hard to see which invocation it is
Mm-hmm.
because their Entomb and Dark Writ are in the deck. Yep, he'll come crashing in. It's a and that'll be a trade. That's the low end of our Tuesday night turnout. But yeah, I guess so. Sorry.
Yeah,
Didn't mean
it's
to
great.
confuse you.
It's testament to the store, testament to our legacy scene.
Mhm.
That the low end of our turnout is 16, 17 people.
That's pretty fantastic considering only months ago we were barely firing 8 people tournaments, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, this store has done a lot for the legacy scene in Utah. In fact, it's basically created it, right? In a sense.
Sure.
So it looks like it's just going to be another Strix.
Which isn't too bad, but
As-
at this point, I don't think Danny's got any way to lose.
As yeah, Paragon's the best. Word. Couldn't have said it better myself.
I'll take it. You have to do it. Next time you're in town, Jesse.
Yeah, I will say this store is really something. If you haven't been here before, I strongly recommend visiting.
Another blocker for El Gristlebrand.
Yeah.
But unless he's got a false cure here.
He does
think,
he does have a forcible now, which it may not be able to do anything, but as far as like blocking with the Strix, at least he'll be able to interact in some way.
Sure. That's it right there. When he gets to go to 2 to draw another 7 cards, see if he can find another way to. So he'll be able to put if he's got an Exhume or something, he'll find out he can unmask and put that Tidespout Tyrant into his graveyard, exhume it, and then just start bouncing all of this stuff.
Play a Dark Writ, play a Lotus Petal.
Yep, there it is. There we go. There is an Exhume in it right there. Graveborn Exhume. So Dark Writ. But you want to wait to play that until you Exhume. Yeah. Because then you have Petal. It's great. Well, if he gets forced here... Oh, well, he didn't force it. I don't think Matthew has an extra blue card in his hand, actually.
Yeah, I wasn't able to see. But I just saw a Strix.
Well, he just put a Strix back into his hand.
Oh, gotcha.
Off the bounce.
Okay. Yeah, so now it's too late.
So bounce, bounce, bounce. All the bounce, bounce.
Entomb.
I
I know that one's an Entomb.
At this point, I think you just start bouncing some lands. Oh, now you want to force. But that's still cast.
Yeah.
And the question is can he cast anything more? I think he might have another Animate Dead or something. At that point, just Animate Dead his
He's got a Faithless Looting.
Strix. 10. Back up to 9.
Should be
Oh, 6.
11.
'Cause- Yeah.
Yeah. The Animate Dead.
Animate Dead.
Docks off 1 power off the Gristlebrand.
The old -1, -0 when that was a penalty. Dang it.
Nowadays it's like, wait, who cares? Oh yeah. No one.
So he's going to go to 1, and then he's going to try and cast a whole bunch of stuff and bounce all his lands. So it feels like a close game when he's at 1, but it's not.
Wow, Jesse, seems like a sweet setup. Living the life. Alright, so... Oh, let me switch this over. Gotta update these rounds. Oh, round 4. There we go.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, what does Allurin have to bring in against Black Red Reanimator? That is the question. Depends on what kind of sideboard hate he's packing over here. Matthew's packing.
Yep.
You know, and that's one of those uncharacteristic wins for Black Red Reanimator, right? Like, it went 3 or 4 turns.
Mm-hmm.
And he was still able to get there.
Right. Yeah, Allurin doesn't have a whole lot of ways to interact with this besides just comboing off. Which to me says that you're going to want to increase the speed of the combo.
Sure.
Especially while on the play.
Looks like he's got Caracas that's coming in, a couple surgical extractions, and Diabolic Edict.
Yeah, you're right, Maslov. Why isn't he running a gut shot? Obviously, it would have won the game there. Idiot.
I do remember watching that
the Pro Tour game.
Pro Tour match, and that was pretty amazing.
My gut shot. Legacy staple. I always do, just in case. Of course. That's why all your decks are 61 cards, right?
You know, I saw some sweet brew that was Arayo, and you play main deck gut shots, so you can cast 4 spells to counter their first spell every turn.
Oh, that's... I want to say I saw Caleb Durward playing that at one point where the whole point was like... It was like a Storm deck, but the whole point was just to get Arayo flipped.
Yeah. Which, you might as well just storm out at that point, right? But...
Well, you only have to hit 4, and Arayo's a lot of the time one of them.
Yeah.
So... That's not very many spells.
Yeah.
And you can just win because of it. Whereas Storm, it's like a lot. You need to find a lot of things.
Sure.
I think it's sweet.
Jataxian Probe, Gut Shot, Flip Arayo.
Liver. Lotus Petal. Turn 1, land, Lotus Petal, Arayo. Gut shot.
Yeah. Sounds pretty fun. And then they obviously they play like, bounce all their creatures.
Hito-san, I'm glad we can bring you some good content of Legacy. And welcome in. Oh yeah, and Baubles. Yeah. See, other people know about this deck. I think it was Caleb Durward who was messing with it at one point.
Sure.
Here, I'm gonna switch over to this game, even though it's kind of chaos. We'll just kind of take a look at it for a sec.
Thank you,
Hey.
Hito-san,
For the follow,
for
appreciate
the
it.
follow. From Sweden.
Awesome.
Perfect.
All right, let's take a look at this. This is jumping into a whole big mess, and I know we'll just jump back to the other match in a moment, but we've got Zach on 4-color Allurin and Noah on Portent Miracles. And it looks like this match is going all over the place. Oh, he has a Quickling. Not a card I see every day.
Yeah, it's a good one though. You know, return a creature.
Noah is not Esper. I know that a lot of these Portent Miracle decks have like one Underground Sea in their deck. I think it's for a sideboard card. I honestly don't know what that card is. Do you?
I do.
Okay.
So a lot of these decks will play a one of off color, and it will be so that they can cast Engineered Explosives on 3, so they can take care of True Name Nemesis.
You heard it here.
I don't know.
Our Legacy expert.
I don't 100% know that that's exactly what he's playing it for necessarily, but I do know that that's something that the Potent Miracles, you know, sometimes they'll have like one of volcanic island in there so that they can do that, or an underground sea. He probably has the underground sea, and that's why he did it that way.
Mm-hmm. That is really odd, Jesse, that Channel Fireball wouldn't wouldn't do streams. I mean but then again, thinking about it, that's a good reason why we are. There aren't many stores or locations really that consistently stream live Magic. I mean, they definitely exist, but we're definitely trying to push that aspect on Twitch. Something that not a lot of other people are doing.
So we have a question here. What do you guys think would be better for the large meta game, Check Pile or Bant Deathblade? I'm just curious because I have access to both decks and I'm not sure what I want to play at Eternal Weekend. What do you think?
I would play Bant Deathblade. I personally think the deck is just really consistent, and that's usually the type of decks that I play.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely more consistent than the Check Pile deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bant Deathblade is a little bit more proactive as well, you know. So you're just trying to get your opponent dead with Bant Deathblade. Play a dude, you know. Do they have answer to your True Name Nemesis? You have Force of Will, and you're being more proactive. And I think that those are the decks that usually do well at those bigger events because, you know, rather than bringing, you know, some sort of control deck or something where you're trying to react to your opponent, you're being more proactive. And Legacy is definitely that way.
All right, so the game's gotten started. And already we're seeing a surgical extraction to take care of this Griselbrand. He's going to see a Chrome Mox, an Entomb, and a Reanimate in Danny's hand. Which, I mean, that right there, if he can find any card to put under, or sorry, a black card to put under this Chrome Mox this next turn, he'll be able to put into play whatever he wants, provided that there's not another surgical extraction.
Sure. So it is interesting, right? Like, we didn't get to see exactly what Danny's hand was to start with, but he is a good pilot on these combo decks. So I would assume that he played it correctly, but he could, you know, he did definitely opened himself up to that Griselbrand getting surgically extracted, even though that's the only creature that he's got going for him right now, by playing the Faithless Looting first. But, you know, this is looking pretty good for Matthew. Danny definitely has to hit a couple cards right off to be able to keep going. But, you know, he could always, like, draw another land, cast Faithless Looting with his... If he draws another land, cast Faithless Looting with his Dark Writ, leave the red... Or, I mean, leave a black and reanimate.
Right. Hey, welcome in, Lord of 42. Yeah, Raceland, I agree. I like having, going into an unknown meta, I like having some form of plan that isn't just reactive. I like to be able to put pressure on my opponent in some way, shape, or form.
And that's not to say that, you know, like the Check Pile deck is not a good deck. That's a really good deck. Mm-hmm. And if you know how to navigate it, then by all means, please do. But it's definitely one of those decks that is going to take a little bit more preparation than something like the Bant deck. So, you know, that you have to take that into account too. And so right after that, Matthew drew a Grafdigger's Cage, and that Grafdigger's Cage off the top is pretty backbreaking for Danny. Now he can't nothing can enter the battlefield from the graveyard, and Danny's started to looks like that was what, 3 Cavern Harpies?
Yeah. So the question I'm left with is, did Danny bring in wear tears?
He did.
Actually,
There's
okay,
one
I
in his
can
graveyard.
see one in the grave. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, so now he has to find another wear tear.
But it's just getting worse, right?
Yes.
Matt has a surgical in hand, and there's a Deathrite Shaman on the battlefield now. Mm-hmm. So we're tripled up on our graveyard hate here.
And Danny is far off of the mana to be able to Dark Ray into one of his creatures.
Yep. So here's Danny looking at his sideboard because he knows that this game is getting out of reach here. And it looks like there's 3 wear tears in his sideboard still. So he brought one in just in case, and now he's looking at him like well,
crap.
They're coming in next game.
Yep.
And I guess that's fair to think, right? You don't know which kind of hate your opponent's going to be playing, and if you think that they're only on surgical extraction, you can hedge by bringing in one just in case they do have something like Cage. Mm-hmm. Or you can,
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's going to lose this game because of it, but I think that was a risk that was a good. I think it was a good risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of the things that you have to take into account when you're trying to play these really fast combo decks. You really have to worry about what your opponent's doing, but you don't always know. Especially when there's 1 or 2 cards that can beat you. If they play Leyline of the Void, and you didn't bring in Wear and Tear, you just lose.
Water 42, it's definitely not a homebrew, but it's not a top tier deck. But Goblin Welder decks do exist.
Yep. Yeah, I've had some experience with the Goblin Welder decks. That's actually one of our players here plays a Goblin Welder deck, and they're one of those cards that are really, really strong. It does what it needs to do, but there are things that do it faster. So you get to play Force of Will in something like a Painter Servant deck, where you can, and you actually get to play Pyroblast, and you get to wreck blue strategies, and you can play Goblin Welder to bring back your Painter Servants and stuff. But sometimes Black Red Reanimator just gets there before you actually get to use your Goblin Welder. So now we're getting a big mix of permanents on the battlefield, and we're just playing some goldfish at this point. So he's returning a Shardless Agent here to cast a Baleful Strix, and then to draw a card, Shardless Agent, draw more cards, until he finds that Parasitic Strix that he just found, and now he's dead. Danny's just waiting to make sure that, Matt kept it in and didn't mess up and board out his win condition, and that,
Oh, good. Shuffling on both tables. My favorite thing to see. Said no Kyre ever. All right, so we do get a game 3, and it was pretty apparent that that comboing early like that would matter. And he also had Surgical Extraction, which is going to slow down this Reanimator deck by quite a bit. And if you can manage to hit Gristlebrand as the card that he hits,
right,
that's going to do a lot.
And this is one of those times where it's kind of interesting to think about, on Danny's side, right? Because he saw 2 forms of graveyard hate. He saw the Grafdigger's Cage, and he also saw Surgical Extraction. So do you prepare for both? That makes your deck a little less consistent. if you get it on turn 1, do you leave Chancellor in so that because he's going to be on the play, so that protects against surgical extraction.
Right.
Do you put in all the wear tears? Do you bring in all 4 for that one time that he has the cage, or do you just try and go off turn 1 with the Chancellor? Or
I can't imagine that Matthew has more than 1 cage.
Sure.
If he does have more than 1, then it's 2, right?
Sure.
You don't want to bring in like 4 wear tears for like the couple of them that you see. However, wear tear also catches a Lurin.
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of surprising to see that he only boarded in 1 in game 2, just for the pure fact that wear tear kills Strix, both Strixes, kills Shardless Agent, and it kills a Lurin, and it kills the Graveyard Hate. So it doesn't just kill the hate. It can actually keep him off of Lurin, giving him more time as well.
Sure.
So I imagine we'll see all of them this game.
Sure. So I was trying to look at what he actually what he sideboarded in. I think he sideboarded in 2 more.
2 more?
I think so. But I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on that either. But looking from what I can see about Matthew's hand is I saw a Strix and I saw a couple land. I don't think he has a surgical extraction, but I could be wrong. I can't quite see his hand.
But this is a mulligan, right?
This is a mulligan from Danny.
Okay.
Yep.
Now this deck mulligans pretty well. It not having 1 card, it matters, but this card is it has so many cards in it that are like others.
Sure.
That
it's like Faithless,
I think
Exhume.
mulliganing should be okay.
Faithless, Exhume, Chrome Mox, a land, a Dark Writ, maybe 2 Dark Writ, or a Dark Writ and a Tomb.
Interesting. He has all the cards that push him into a fast kill, but none of the actual cards that kill fast.
All he needs is a creature to pitch and hope that his opponent does not have a surgical, because he can't protect against it. He kept it on top, which that's usually a good sign.
Yeah.
Dark Writ. Entomb.
Okay, so yeah, he just kept on top because it didn't matter.
And then he's got Exhume. And he's just going to hope it gets there.
All right.
I can't imagine Matthew would allow this to happen with the hand that he kept. So if he did keep a hand that loses to this sequence, then, hey, I would have gone to 6.
Yeah, I probably would have too. This demands a force of will, and if it doesn't happen, this is just Reanimator's game.
Yep.
Yeah.
GG.
And Thoughtseize is going to be too late.
Harry, you can have my Faithless Looting. Thanks.
Sure.
Is that an Iona?
I think so.
It's
the From the Vault Angels one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's 7 cards, and Death for Matthew.
Could have been. Yeah,
So
that is Iona.
Yeah.
Definitely.
A couple of Dark Writs.
Draw 7 more. So he's not using his die, but he's at 6.
Yep. He's paid 14 life to draw 14 cards, and now he's got all the goodies right there. Unmask, Lotus Petal, he's got a Chancellor, he's got Reanimate, Faithless Looting to put stuff in the graveyard if he wants to. Yeah. So, and this is one of those things where, Matthew, he's going to remember that this is how he lost, and next time he's going to want to keep something in his hand, because I think his disruption in his hand was Thoughtseize. And a Thoughtseize against a Reanimator player, it's not. It's okay. It's
fine.
good, especially if it's backed up by a surgical extraction. And sometimes you feel helpless where you think, okay, well, if I go get surgical extraction and then he shows Chancellor, then I just lose anyway. But I don't think you can just not have anything, especially when you have answers like Force of Will and you have surgical extractions in your deck. I think you have to at least molt to 6.
I agree.
Probably molt to 5.
That in this scenario, this is something that it took me a long time to learn as a player, and that is when to mulligan aggressively and when to not mulligan aggressively. This is a moment where I would have mulliganed. I probably would have gone at least to 5.
Yeah.
At least trying to find some sort of way to interact with this deck. They're not going to keep a hand that does nothing. They're not going to.
Well, and you saw Danny; he got to decide first, right? And so he already decided to go down to 6. And so maybe Matthew thought like, okay, well, maybe if he's going down 6, he's not going to have it turn 0. But hey, you know what? Like that's what the Black Red Reanimator deck does. Is it needs to assemble 3 or 4 cards together to pretty much end the game.
Yeah.
And now Danny's got Elish Norn in play, and there is not a chance that Matthew can come back from this one.
No, definitely not. I'm even.
If he goes Dark Ritual, Bontu's Reckoning, I will be so happy. But even then, Danny's drawn too many cards.
No. All right, we're gonna give this one to Danny. I think that's super safe to say, and we'll transition into our backup match. So I know at least one game has ended, and I do not know who won, but we will find out as we watch. So we're catching the very beginning of this. Awesome. We see a counterspell on Recruiter the Guard.
I don't like that counterspell.
He just countered a 1/1. Yeah.
I mean, I like the when he cast it, but that particular counterspell.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the masks one, right?
Yeah.
All right. What's your preference?
I like the monk with the lightning.
The monk with the lightning.
The 7.
All right.
I like that counterspell a lot. I mean, I like most of the counterspells. I even like the new counterspells. I think
The invocation, or the Jace one.
The
one with
Jace one. Yeah.
That's the one that I have in my cube.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I got Zach Stella's signature across it too.
Sweet.
It's really pretty. I think my favorite thing about that one is there's no flavor text. It's just counter target spell.
Yeah.
Plenty of room in the box for the artist to just throw their signature all over in there.
Oh yeah. Just make it not look like an actual counterspell.
Yeah.
All right, so Zach becomes a Shardless agent, it looks like. Let's see what he gets off of here. Thoughtseize. Well, Thoughtseize is pretty good because he's got a Terminus in his hand and no way to put it back on top.
Yeah, to confirm, I believe Zach has 1 Breeding Pool and 1 Watery Grave in his deck. He doesn't have all the duels, so he's playing with a couple Shocklands. And he's had a lot of success too. And they don't taking a couple of damage every once in a while isn't going to kill you.
Yeah, I've played a lot against Zach in the last year or so, and he's also a player that plays very tight. He knows the decks that he plays very well, and he can see some pretty deep lines. He's a really good player.
So what is he taking?
So I think at this point,
Okay. He'll make his decision then. All right.
I probably would have taken the Terminus. because that has the most, the biggest chance to, like, value out the rest of his cards.
Okay.
Um,
Isn't there like a little, because taking the unexpectedly absent saves one of his creatures and makes it so the predict doesn't have an automatic draw to,
sure.
which makes sense. But at that point, I almost want to take the predict.
Sure.
Like, go ahead, unexpectedly absent one of my creatures.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, swords one of my creatures.
and that's the thing, right? Like, it doesn't really matter if he unexpectedly absents his creatures because their value anyway.
Exactly.
If, oh, you're gonna give me a Baleful Strix back? Great.
Sure.
I'll just cast it again and draw a card.
Or put the Strix on top of my library, or on top of my library, so I can cast another Shardless Agent.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, you see the play, right? Like where you can put it on top and then predict it away, and he gets to draw 2 cards, and that seems really sweet, and that is like the all-star like play, right?
Right.
But it's one of those things where it's pretty good, but I don't think it necessarily gets Noah anywhere.
Right.
You know, because then he's spending 2 of his spells. He's just replacing them with the predict, but he only got rid of 1 thing, and that's a value creature that didn't really do much. And
Mosloff, you're playing some kind of format in between Legacy and Modern, and I don't like it.
so there's a new Death Shadow deck for Legacy. You see that list? As I don't know if it's new necessarily, but
I've heard things about it, and I'm sure it's fine, but
and it actually plays shocks because it wants it to hurt itself.
Yeah, I've seen some lists. I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting one, but
oh, what else would we have shocks for? Okay, all right, I understand now. Yeah, that's why he's running the shocks. He has one Death Shadow in his deck.
Here comes the Quickling.
Because he wanted to.
Because he wanted to get that
save the
Leovold.
Man, that's awesome. I love seeing Quickling. Like that's super cool.
Yeah, I think the only time I ever see Quickling is on that playmat for the GP in Salt Lake.
Yep.
And that's it.
Because everybody around here
everybody
has
in Salt Lake has it because they went to the GP.
Yeah.
But you actually never see the card play.
No. In fact, I bet if you asked enough people, most people like that own the mat don't even know what the card does.
Oh yeah, I guarantee it.
Yeah, Riley, I love that playmat too. You know, I believe they only gave that playmat to people who day 2'd that tournament. And
the Quickling?
Yeah, cause I played in that tournament and I scrubbed out and I didn't get one. But what was cool is I went to Eternal Weekend, like the next year, and in Seattle, or like 2 years, I don't know. But anyway, they had a bunch of past GP mats, and I was like happy using my ticks on it because I didn't have it, and I felt like I went to that event and I like should have it.
Sure.
So I do own one, and I feel good about it.
That's all that matters, right?
Yeah. Whereas my brother Mosloff here, he was able to day 2 that event and get his own.
Yeah,
the Shadow deck has Snuff Out?
Yeah, Snuff Out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Pay 4 life.
Yeah.
Make your Death Shadow really big and kill your thing.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
But it does not kill other Death Shadows.
You have my attention. I love Snuff Out. That card's awesome.
Yeah, that card's amazing. And I actually love that art that the Argyles. I think it's
the
Argyle's
one.
art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no foil version of it, so I have the normal one in mind, but we can pull it up while these guys are playing, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Well, this is getting awkward for Noah here because he has three spells. One's Monastery Mentor, and the other 2 draw cards. And he can't draw extra cards. So.
That is very awkward. On the bright side, though, Portent still works.
Yeah. Portent still works.
Portent still works. You draw the card on the next upkeep.
All right, here's Zach.
Yeah, here it is.
Strix and Districts.
Oh man, the internet is all kinds of slow.
Yeah, I really like that. I like that art.
Yeah, it looks great.
Sweet.
I'll pull it up for a moment on the stream once it decides to want to work. There we go. Or not.
So here's Noah holding back on the Monastery Mentor. He's got a Brainstorm in his hand.
Oh, I don't think I had this prepared. Let's just see if... Oh, there it is. That was even easier. So there's Snuff Out. And this is the Steve Argyle one. Yeah, I love pretty much anything Steve Argyle releases, right?
Yeah.
It's so good.
Poor Noah. He's got Leovold out there, and he just drew 2 Brainstorms.
And he has a Monastery Mentor?
So he could go, and Zach does have an Abrupt Decay for his Monastery Mentor. But he, if he gets low enough here, which looks like he's going to 4, so he's going to have to play something next turn, he could go Mentor, just cast Brainstorm with that on the stack, cast Brainstorm again.
And then he has no cards to
put
put
back.
And I mean, that's a line, right? That's a whole lot better than having no play.
And I think that's actually the play he probably should have made this last turn, just because he's going to 4. If Zach were to have played anything out right there, that line still doesn't actually get him.
Right. Oh, so doing this instant speed, he may even be able to
Cast 1 more spell.
Yeah.
But not really.
No.
So he has to cast the 1,
Mhm.
and then he has to cast the other one, that on the stack.
Yes.
And then he gets to draw the 1 card. But the Brainstorm has to resolve and it has to put back. So it doesn't
right. So
actually
he doesn't get a card,
but he gets to scry, essentially.
But this monk is going to get a prowess. So he has 4, 5, 6, 7 power on the board. Yeah, and he just gets to gang block this Leovold.
I think you block with everything.
I think you have to. There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's gonna Abrupt Decay the Monastery Mentor, obviously.
Yep. But he gets to keep 1 now. Goes to 3. If Zach would have played out his Deathrite Shamans that last turn, that would have been enough to kill him this turn. But now, Noah's drawing Terminus.
Dang it. So close.
There's the handshake.
Alright, so if that looks like Zach took it down 2-0. And that'll do it. So Black-Red Reanimator took our tournament down.
Black-Red Reanimator. I could tell you what, we talked about this before the night started, but, Leyline of the Void is a very good card.
Yeah.
And 4 of is probably the correct call for the most of the time.
And you should probably be playing those cards.
Yeah. And I can tell you that the deck that I had planned on playing tonight had 4 Leyline of the Void in the sideboard.
Good call.
I don't like losing to Black-Red Reanimator.
Yeah, I don't either.
And I don't like losing to lands. So that card is very good against both of those matchups.
Yeah, it's a good card in both Legacy and Modern. It really tears up a lot of decks.
Yep. All those ley lines, they're so interesting, and I love that they're around, right? Because
They're necessary.
they're such bad draws later in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start the game with them and they're free, they are backbreaking. And it's an interesting deck building choice to think, well, I'm going to play, however many ley lines I think I want to play for the night. I could play 3, but am I going to plan on mulling down to get one? Is that the matchup that I need to have a ley line, and I'm going to mull no matter what I have to get to it? Am I going to go to 3 or 2 if I need it?
I actually have a story to share about leyline. I was playing Jund in Modern and at GP Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay. And this was actually the first round I lost in the tournament in round 4. And in game 2, I take a mulligan.
Yeah.
And I shuffle up my deck and I present it to my opponent, okay?
Sure.
And he cuts the deck and puts the other part on, on top of the deck, and as his hand comes off the deck, he flips over the top card on accident. Very clearly on accident, why in the world would you do something like that on purpose?
Sure, sticky hands.
Sure. Sure.
Sweaty, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a ley line. And I'm against Dredge. It's not a good matchup for Jund, but it's actually much more winnable than its other bad matchups. Sure. And seeing that kind of killed me because my opponent calls the judge and he comes over and he says, "All right, that you'll shuffle up your deck and you'll present it."
Yeah.
And I just looked at the judge and I just went, "Yeah, I needed that to win."
Yeah.
And of course, the judge, the top card's the top card. It doesn't matter what it is. It was a mistake. I have to shuffle up my deck, and I have to give it back. And I mulliganed, and I think I mulliganed to 4. And I actually showed up with a scavenging ooze. I still lost, but
sure, yeah.
Leyline, it's important.
Leyline, yeah. And it's one of those things that all of the ley lines can play a part, especially the white and the black one, right? Yes. Sanctity. Giving yourself hexproof for the game, that can just win the game.
It's huge.
I remember this last GP, I played in a side event, and I was playing in the Modern tournament, and I wanted to test out my deck, and I had just kind of brewed up something, and I had tested it with a couple of people, but I was playing an Esper Death Shadow deck, and I was playing Lingering Souls and some Path to Exiles because I wanted to have a good matchup against
Eldrazi.
Well, against Eldrazi, because that's the worst matchup, and the other Death Shadow decks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the deck that I took, and my first match in the side event that I was practicing for it, I sat down across from this guy, and he's like, "Honestly, man, this format's garbage. I hate this format because you can play stupid things like my deck's about to do." And I said, "Oh yeah? Okay. I'm kind of playing a stupid deck too, so whatever." And I'm playing Death Shadow. So he goes, "Turn 0 Leyline of Sanctity." And I look back down at my hand, and I have 2 Thoughtseize, and I'm playing Death Shadow, so I need to be able to target my opponent. And I'm thinking oh man, that's pretty good against me. We'll see what happens here. And then he just plays a land, a regular Plains. So I play a land and say pass, and I had a Thought Scour in my hand. And then he goes, play another Plains, Suppression Field. And I look at my hand, and I just have all fetches, as one does, playing Death Shadow, and I'm like, great. I can't target you to take your cards. I can't play my cards. You got me. And it ends up being the Enduring Ideal deck, and he gets me. But,
right.
It shows the power. If he doesn't have turn 0 Leyline, I can just Thoughtseize him until he doesn't get to play any of his good spells. Those Leylines, they're so good.
Mm-hmm.
They're good when they're good.
Captain QC, see, that's kind of what I thought too. But since I had never actually drawn my hand, and the card was still a part of my library before the game had started, it was technically still a part of my deck, and I'm supposed to reshuffle. I I thought the same thing. I'm like, I don't care if my opponent knows that I have this. I'm going to play it pregame, right? I don't... If I had drawn my hand, then sure. But I hadn't. Like, there was... it was still part of my deck.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. Once you've presented the deck for, back to the player and he gets to draw, then once they're in your hand, they're actually in your hand.
Right.
You can decide to show, and that's when they will give you the decision to,
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really unique thing that happened, and even though I will say I probably showed more emotion than I would have liked to. I pride myself in being a player who doesn't get salty at the table, but I was really upset. I wasn't upset at my opponent or anything. He didn't do anything wrong. I just kind of lost that game, and I signed my slip and I walked away. I was not feeling so hot. But Shankerton, no, we just finished our 4-round tournament. Our finals was Lurin versus Black Red Reanimator, and Reanimator took it down. So we were just kind of talking at the end of the stream, but we're just wrapping things up.
Yeah. So if you had any other questions or anything,
now is the time.
Is now. But yeah, it was a fun night. It was Black Red Reanimator had the right matchups. He played it well, you could tell.
Yeah.
And Allurne's also one of those decks that did well because you saw, both at the top tables, right? There was 2 Allurnes.
Right.
They both ended the night at 3-1.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And that deck, it's beating.
Right. The
combo kill, as they say.
All right, so a couple things to mention since we're ending things for tonight. We have started to stream. We're starting to stream Standard on Mondays. So we have Standard on Mondays, Legacy Tuesday, and then we'll have. I believe we have. I know that sometimes we'll have drafts in between, but then we stream Legacy on Standard. Hey man, it's still there. Then we'll have Legacy again on Friday, Modern on Saturday. So you guys we are happy to have all of you in for those tournaments, and we do have our bits and our subscribers and follower notifications.
Well, we had like 30. It looked like 36 or something for most of the night.
Yeah, we topped at like 45.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Now there's 2.
Yeah, most people left. All right, our stream went down for a moment, but who's casting Standard? That's going to be Patrick and Tim. Tim and Patrick are going to start casting Standard and our Draft League, which I believe our Draft League airs on Saturdays, and I think it's every other week, or at least that's what I've been told.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and have a fantastic night.
Thanks for having me too. I had a great time.